Welcome to the 112th episode of the Nerdom and Other Nonsense Anime Podcast. Today, we'll be breaking down anime that aired during the 12th and final week of the summer 2019 season. As always, we include timestamps in the description of the YouTube video and podcast feed if you only want to hear about one or two specific shows, since we spoil literally everything. My name is Leo, and Kat has a new kitten, and so for the next month, her cats are officially cuter than my cats. That's just the way it is. Also with me are Bcom and Kat.
This is how it works.
It is the way it is, Leo. Suck it. My cats are just cuter than yours for a while.
Ugh.
It's just true.
That's just the way it is. Oh, man.
What nonsense you got, Bcom?
Nonsense? Okay, yeah, we should just get right into it. I picked up The Outer Worlds. I didn't even pick it up. It's just on Xbox Game Pass, which is nice. So I just could try it out and install it. It's also coming out like the same week as Call of Duty, which is like 100-something gigabyte download. So it's kind of nice to have Outer Worlds just be like a 36 gigabyte quick, brisk download. I like it a lot so far. I've just basically made it to the end of the first planet. This is like an RPG, kind of like very similar to a Fallout game. But I feel like the writing is a lot more like a BioWare RPG, like the ones that used to be good, like when old Mass Effect games came out, or Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic, like that kind of level of writing. The first planet's really cool. You are awoken by this like weird mad scientist dude in space. You've been floating on like a colony ship, and you were in suspended animation. And so, like, the character select screen is when the guy, like, finds your ship and he's deciding, like, which person out of, like, the thousands of people on the colony ship to wake up.
Oh, that's
so
cool.
you choose your appearance because, like, you're one of these thousands of people that have been stranded.
Okay.
It's kind of fun, like, little thing. And then...
That's a good way to... That's a more unique way to pick your character.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah. It was really smart to, like, frame it that way. And then he, like, just kind of sends you down to this planet... because he needs you to figure some shit out for him. And like he guys just kind of just throws you into things. And like the first planet is really interesting because it like presents you with a lot of interesting decisions to make. There's basically two main factions. Like there's this settlement that is basically run completely by a corporation called Spacer's Choice, which is kind of just not, there's no choice. The choice is to just be like a slave to the corporation.
Okay.
And then there's some deserters who have left the settlement, who are trying to find a way to survive on their own. And so you have to sort of choose either whether you side with them or with the corporation people, or apparently you can compromise between them and not help like either of them or you can help both of them. It's really weird. There's like a whole bunch of different choices you can make.
I feel like probably the compromise route won't get you shit, though.
I don't know. Yeah, my friend went the compromise route. I didn't ask him like what exactly he got out of it differently, but I don't know. It was interesting because, like, you think that, like, my first inclination was like, I'm going to help these deserter people who, like, are trying to live off the land and be nice. And turns out the way they're living off the land is kind of unsavory. Like, they're doing.
Well, you mean like living off the land by attacking people?
Well, yes, something like that. I don't want to spoil it, but it's like, it's something. Like, they're sacrificing something to be able to do that. And it's a little bit like, is this ethically right? So. Yeah, it's really interesting. I like it so far. I've only played like 5 hours, and I'm very curious to see the rest of it. It's really well written, so I recommend checking that out.
Cool.
How about you guys?
I bought Control. You've talked about that before, haven't you? On this?
Yeah, I've beaten Control. That's a fun damn game.
So I just got for this weekend. Yeah, it's super fun. Picking shit up and throwing it at other people with your telekinesis never gets old. That's fun every time you hit somebody with a fucking cement slab or a filing cabinet. It's great.
I bet that is fun.
Yeah, it's really fun. Like, and you just keep unlocking more and more powerful abilities. Like early on, you get like a dash, and then later on, you get one where like if a guy's weakened enough, you can like turn him to your side for a little while.
Yeah, that was fun.
I just got the one where I fucking float around and shit. kind of like fly a little bit. So that one's pretty fun. But that's where I'm at so far in that game.
Yeah,
Really
you're
loving
getting
it.
pretty far into it, actually. That's good.
Yeah.
What do you think about like the story of the game? Like you keep like finding things to read around the building and stuff, and it's kind of spooky.
Bonkers.
It's kind of a good game to play as you get close to Halloween. It's like a little bit of a spooky game. It's not like straight up scary though, but yeah.
It's like Stranger Things level of spookiness.
Right. Yeah.
Is how I would describe it. Yeah, it's really cool. The mystery is so fucking deep. It's insane. Trying to figure out what's going on, and then just like so much stuff just like breaks the laws of physics. It's just like you got to go with it. Yeah, I mean, the very first thing that happens, Kat, is you get a gun that transforms. I mean, that's just where we start off.
It's kind of like the gun from Psychopaths a little bit. That's how I thought about it.
A little bit.
It's not gonna like blow things up like the Dominator, but like it's still a cool fucking gun.
I still think that would be an amazing Halloween costume. Like to be one of the
Psychopaths crew. Oh yeah.
Just so you could hold the Dominator and just be like, I have the Dominator.
I will judge you.
I mean, people have made amazing like mechanical working cosplay of Dominators and stuff, and done that at anime conventions. I always think those are some of the coolest cosplays you can see. So yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
What about your nonsense, Kat?
Okay, so speaking of throwing things at people, I have a good story later in a minute. But first, I've spent a month and a half sick.
Oh no.
And it sucks because I almost got better once and they took me off antibiotics and then I like immediately caught something else. And so then they put me back on antibiotics for like 2.5 weeks. And they're like, we're concerned that if you get something else, you won't be able to fight it off again.
That's what you get for picking up parking lot cats. You're diseased.
Because apparently my immune system is just very low, and so we're just concerned. And so they finally took me off antibiotics. Thank God, because it's like fucking up everything. Because you're not supposed to be on antibiotics that long.
No.
It kind of starts fucking with you. Mm-hmm. So I'm happy to be off of them, but I'm also terrified because they're like, your immune system is so low. Because my asthma's been fucking going nuts. So they're like, oh, you could get anything. You could get sick. And I'm just like, oh, God, no, germs. So I'm like spraying everything with like Lysol.
Somebody forgot a bell on their animal.
I heard that in the background,
shit,
too.
It's a new one. Come here.
I can hear that, yeah.
Yay, come here, Yay. Come on. He doesn't answer to his name yet because he's stupid.
Just hears a bell, just like...
Well, because I bought him a brand new collar. Because I, like, wanted it to be like, you're my cat now. So I bought you this fancy collar. And, like, yeah, I forgot that I bought it for him.
That's okay. I probably won't get picked up that much anyway. I was going to say that, Kat, you should feel privileged that you were on antibiotics for so long. Because, like, a couple of scientists probably had to go down to a sulfuric acid lake with gas masks and collect the proper materials for you.
That's true. That's true. I don't even appreciate the modern technology that I have. I'd probably have died with how sick I get. I would have died so long ago. I would have died as an infant.
Good God.
Oh my God. But yeah, anyway, so like did I, since I was so sick this month, not go to Halloween parties? No, because I'm stubborn.
Oh man.
So I did go to
Kat
one.
Walks into a party, she's like, I made it, guys.
I pretty much did that, and then I was like, "Don't worry, I'm not contagious. All bacteria has been annihilated from my system with a nuclear bomb." Like, and I'm still gonna dance. So yeah, that's me. But yeah, I went to one where they did a Thriller performance. They had like 20 like dancers come, and they did like a Thriller performance.
Wow,
it was awesome.
That's nuts, actually. Though, like what kind of place did you hold? Was this like in a public venue or something, or somebody's house?
Yeah, it was at a club.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Damn.
So they had a dance floor, and then at a different party, this was like at a hotel, and they had like a pool area, and then they closed the pool area when the dance floor opened because they didn't want people like drunk as shit trying to dance slipping on the tiles in the pool area.
Yeah, smart.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Then one of my friends dropped their keys over the side of the pool area, and they couldn't get them because it's locked. And he's like, fuck. And me, being stupid and drunk, was like, throw me over. Use me like a fishing rod. I'll get it for you. We're going to do it. So speaking of throwing things at people, I was thrown over the side of the pool fence to get these keys. And it took a little bit of work because, like, at first he just threw me and it wasn't, like, far enough because the fence is long. So, like, then he had to, like, lean over and have someone else hold him and then, like, really throw me over. Then it was almost, like, too far of a throw. And, like, my nose was, like, 2 centimeters away from the tile on the ground.
Oh, my God.
So I almost got my face smashed in. And at that point, he's like, we shouldn't be doing this. We're both drunk. And I was like, no, never give up. Like, Jesus. Over the side behind me. And he's like, okay. He's like, grab them. I'm going to swing you. And I'm like, okay. And I, like, grabbed them and he pulled me back up like a fishing line. It was great.
I don't understand. Oh, my God. I'm glad you're a great fishing pole.
That's also how I ripped my costume, because I had a Black Widow costume and the shoulder got ripped from doing that.
You were like literally like Black Widow from Endgame. Just fuck me up, fam. It's for the greater good of the team.
Well, how was he
I gotta get the
drive
Soul
home
Stone
next day
keys for the team.
if he didn't have his keys?
Oh my God.
He had to get his keys.
It was very Black Widow of you to sacrifice yourself for the greater good.
I really could have I could have fucked my whole face. Like, imagine if my face had really smashed, like, only a centimeter more, and, like, I would have a broken nose right now, probably.
It makes me wonder how heavy are the dumbbells he lifts.
Yeah, exactly.
If he's throwing people around. Speaking of that show, episode 12, how heavy are the barbells you lift?
Yeah.
The
gym is going to another event just so we could end on a beach episode.
Of course. Of fucking course.
I laughed. I was like, oh, here we go again. I imagined, like, the writing room, like, what should we do for the last episode?
It has to be gym. Yeah, it has to do something with the beach.
They're like, they look at the clock, it's like 4:59 p.m. They're like, why don't we just do another beach episode? Then they all high five and, like, leave for the day. Like, that's we figured it out.
Basically, everybody's going, and the event is, like, secretly being held by that producer Dare and Jason because of that deal they made, you know, kind of like the end of the last episode. So they go to the beach and Gina's struggling with the heat. At one point she just like rips her top off and they're like, what are you doing? The older gals are also enjoying themselves under some shade and drinking beer and cocktails and whatnot. And then Machio shows up with like a melon that just looks tiny in his hands.
It's so tiny. It's ridiculous.
And the girls decide to do that melon bash, you know, we see in every single episode where they blindfold them and they get a stick and they go to the left.
It's the only thing Japanese people ever do at the beach. Ever.
What would they do if they didn't have a melon?
I don't know. They would just hit somebody's head. It would be fucking massacres all over the place. It'd be terrible.
But then Akemi says they should follow trainee rules when playing this game, which isn't different at all to how you play it. I don't know what that was about. That was like a missed joke or something. Somehow this leads into Machio giving a lesson about the trapezius muscle, also known as the traps. He recommends doing shoulder shrugs, which is exactly as it sounds. You can also hold dumbbells to increase the difficulty if you want to. So there's to be like a talent contest, and it's about to start. And the announcer says the male contest will not be happening because not enough people applied. Kind of bullshit. We know this was the producers doing, but the Mrs. versions will still go ahead with a prize of a protein set and a DVD set of the last 10 years of the contest. And it's just a bunch of the guys, you know, flexing and stuff, and that gets the girls really interested enough to enter. The talent portion starts, and Gina thinks she has this in the bag because she is Russian and going to do a Russian dance. But then, like, another Russian girl gets on stage before her and does a Russian dance, and she's like, no!
God.
And Ayaka plans to do like a dragon flag on the stage and gets disqualified because her secret weapon was a bikini that was just way too revealing.
Like a micro bikini, yeah.
Yeah. Akemi goes next and does a handstand and then turns into a handstand push-ups. Did you try that, Bcom?
No,
No one is doing a handstand push-up. We would all fall over. I don't even know how you keep your balance. Like, that has to be some intense balance.
I don't think I've ever been, like, even when I was, like, athletic, quote unquote, in high school, I don't think I was ever able to do, like, a real handstand. I just have terrible balance, so I don't know. Could you guys do handstands? I'm wondering.
I maybe tried a couple times when I was, like, real young, but no.
I was, like, too tall.
I can do head handstands and, like, headstands and stuff, but, like...
Girls are always, like, way better at that. I don't know what that is about, but it seems like girls are always
It's like our
good.
center of gravity is different.
Yeah, that might be it, yeah.
But I mean, the idea, like, balancing while doing something else is very hard. It's hard enough to balance for a little bit just holding still. So, like, that's impressive.
Yeah.
Machio then gets some instructions on how to do a proper push-up, which I think he's done already.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and like the older gals are like, oh man, Akemi has this in the bag. There's no way she can lose. And then Hibiki's up. She's the last one up. And her talent is going to be showing her strength by hitting a punching bag. We know what happens here. The poor punching bag obviously gets completely demolished. People are just like, whoa! Turns out Hibiki and Akemi are both announced as the winners and will have to go back on stage to compete once more. The two decide to do a bench press competition because that's like the first thing they ever did together at the gym.
See, but this was annoying. Okay, but go on. You can say it.
Okay.
And they're slowly going to keep adding weight until one of them can't do anymore. So what do you want to say, Kat?
I got irritated at the way it ends.
Okay, so
I see. Yeah.
I'll get there. So they start, and it's like a very fierce thing. It's like DBZ level of like energies coming off and flying through the air, like two dragons battling. And it's like all focusing on Akemi. And then she finishes and looks over and sees that Hibiki was too hungry to do them. And Akemi wins.
Yeah, because...
I'm like, no, that's bullshit. Oh, sorry, go ahead, Bcom.
Yeah, I agree. It was kind of fun to see them finally, like really compete against each other, because they had, like, the track race earlier in the show, but, like, it didn't really work out. And then, like... You know, they're hyped to, like, finally, like, or Kemi's, like, actually hyped to just finally, like, really compete against Hibiki and see, like, how good they both are. And then Hibiki's stomach just growls, and I'm just like, I guess this is just goofy again.
So, Dere and Jason's plan was to get to the island before everybody and set up cameras for a candid camera show, but their boat broke down and they were set adrift in a boat. And it also looks like Jason dies.
Poor guy.
So, the credits roll over the girls goofing off, and a beach episode can't be complete without Kat's favorite part, the fireworks.
Okay, I loved the bad, like, sappy, like, Disney song that played in the background over that scene with lyrics like, "Tell me that you won't leave me when the seasons of our lives begin to change." It was just, like, so fucking sappy. I was laughing my ass off.
It's like Hibiki and Akemi are sitting around and basically reminiscing about how they met and all the training they've done together. And Akemi says, "Let's stay friends forever." And then Barnold comes swimming ashore, pulling the boat with Dere and Jason in it. And like everybody comes running out and greets him, and we find out they're okay. And the show.
Okay, but didn't we ever talk about their like plan at the beginning, where like they had this nefarious thing where they're like, "We're going to get them," like, ha ha ha, it's a nefarious plan.
It all goes
Like,
wrong.
what the fuck's
It was at the end of the last episode where Jason confronts him with the plan because he was just told to get those girls again.
Yeah, well, okay, and then they drive off in a white van. A white, nondescript van. Which I'm like, is that not a thing in Japan? Is that only in the US? That's like child molester van?
I think it's the same thing everywhere.
I mean, who knows? Maybe they don't get the reference.
They do one last exercise and they just go back to the most basic. It's the push-up again. And then the show ends nicely on Hibiki getting on a scale, and she smiles and like tee-hees and runs off.
She's finally happy with her weight. Thank God. Holy shit. She got there.
I thought for a minute that they were going to end on like the people dying, and it was going to be ironic. Because they like did their credits for that, and I was like, is this the way they're ending the entire show? Like, it ended well for everyone but these two bitches. These dudes died at sea. Like, R.I.P. these dudes. Like, that's how I thought. Actually, I would have liked that better.
Shit.
It would have been weird and ironic. And like, what the fuck?
I'm glad they finally brought around the stupid Hibiki is fat thing and had her have like at least one moment where she's like, I did it. I finally did it. So, I don't know. It was cute.
I think they should have just been like, but she doesn't need to look at the scale.
I still hear
she
bells.
Just looks hotter. I'm trying to catch the goddamn. And once we switch episodes, I'll go grab him real quick.
That's fine.
That. No, because I need to catch him. It's gonna be difficult.
Well, should we switch things up? Because we'll talk more about this in the finale section. Should we head to the next episode?
Yep.
Sure. Let me try to.
All right. I'll read my 3-page synopsis of the finale of O Maidens in your Savage
He's not
season.
joking. It's literally 3 pages, guys.
It's like 2.5. I don't know.
It's 3.
It's in really big font, guys. I swear.
11. It's 11.
The Colors of the Hearts of Maidens, episode 12 of 12. So Rika shows up at school, and she asks the girls, like, stop this madness with the kidnapping and everything. And they refuse, and the principal asks them if they should reverse the expulsion. He kind of like is asking the vice principal, and the vice principal's like, but that wouldn't deter the other girls from like doing lewd stuff. Like, what? And so Hitaha's like, oh, I see what this is all really about. It's not just about Rika and Shun doing something wrong. And so they make no headway, and the teachers and principals just like decide like they've had enough and just decide to go home because it's Friday night and there's only going to be a few students at school the next day and they can just solve it then. So they just like shirk their responsibilities and go home.
Yeah.
Like the teachers at the school are kind of like annoying. The principal is just the worst. Rika asked to like come up like stairs and stay in solidarity with the girls, but like Hitaha sees Shun's like hand on her shoulder and she can't quite handle how jealous she is over that and says like, no, we'll do this on our own, you can stay down there. Yamagishi, who's still like tied up with like rope, is trying to reason with the girls, like tell them not to do anything worse than they've already done. They don't really listen though, since they also find out that he and Hitaha like saw each other's privates at that love hotel, and they're just like, this is a little suspect. And then Hitaha's like, yeah, I'm hoping for a massive case of Stockholm Syndrome the last minute here to finally get what I want. Oh, Kat's just calling her cat a bitch. Wow, that's a real power move. So the other 3 girls are having some reservations. Kazusa wonders to herself, like, why she agreed to do this crazy stuff. And while she's doing that, like, Nina and Momoko, they're all like making food, and they like awkwardly touch hands and then like move away from each other really quick, which is just like about the tension between them right now after that confession. But then like Izumi texts like that he's coming to school because he found out what's going on, and he makes his way inside. Nina wonders because like now they're on the timer. Like, is this the right time to confess her feelings? And Momoko's like, what the fuck are you talking about? She gets all pissed. She gets out of Kazusa that Nina got permission to confess to Izumi like on the same day as her own confession to Nina. And like right after they got off the phone. Like, so she was the one to give her the final push, kind of like the Little Prince story kind of thing. And she's really pissed about that. And Momoko's like, no, I want you to hide your feelings. I don't care if I get hurt. I just don't want you to go out with anyone ever. Stay single. So yeah, she's not thinking quite clearly. They all end up like running down the hall, and Nina like chases after her and just like tackles her. Like, man, I wish the New York Giants would sign her because like we really need somebody who could tackle like that. Holy shit. And Momoko like scolds her for like tackling her like this because like she's like, oh, if I were a guy, you wouldn't do this because he would get the wrong idea about what you want. And Nina like screams out that she knows Izumi's not going to reciprocate her feelings, but she feels like she just needs to tell him that she loves him. And as she's screaming this out, Izumi's like climbing through a window and he hears everything, which is nice because it speeds things up. And Izumi being Izumi when he's like faced with Kazusa and Nina, and like Momoko like is like, you fucking straighten this shit out right now. Tells them that he's in love with Kazusa, but he's sexually attracted to Nina.
That was like the worst way he could do it too.
Yeah.
He's like blurts it out, and I'm just like, "Are you an idiot?
Yes, he is.
Are you mentally incompetent? What's wrong with you?"
He can't tell lies. He can only tell the truth. Oh man, that was a bold move. I was like laughing pretty hard.
No, it wasn't a bold move. It was stupidity. If it was a bold move, it would have been like intentional.
I suppose, yeah. And so, okay, Rika and Hitaha show up, and they both have like Shun and Yamagishi with them. They overhear this, and they yell at Izumi for being cruel to Nina. And I was kind of surprised by that, because I was like, I think he's kind of being cruel to Kazusa too, guys. But yeah, they're like, it's very rude to say you're just only sexually attracted to a girl. But then Nina's like, no, I don't really think it's that rude. Like, I'm fine with it. Like, sexuality can't be completely separated from romantic feelings. And I feel the same way about Izumi. I got really hot when he touched my ass, and I made him touch my ass. And Kazusa reminds her that, you know, you were saying like the exact opposite shit earlier in the show. And Nina's like, well, yeah, remember, I was bullshitting because I was trying to act cool. And so, yeah, like, this also gets even worse because, like, Rika face palms and she's like, I can't believe my classmates have been colored by concupiscence and licentiousness. She is always, like, reverting to, like, ridiculous terms that just mean, like, lust. And Hita ends up wrapping Shun into this, too, because he's like, well, she's like, have you ever touched a girl? And he can't tell lies either, apparently. And he's just like, yeah, I've touched a girl's chest. And Rika starts flipping out. And so everybody's shouting, and Kazusa's like, let's have a pillow fight.
Oh my god. And I was like, no, this will not fix shit right now.
That's what Rika said.
Pillow fights won't fix this, okay? Let me be real with you.
Well, Rika's like, we as humans have evolved to use language to express ourselves and solve our problems, but you want us to revert to the Neolithic times. And Kazusa's just like, well, I like moving around, blah, blah, blah. So Yamagishi has like a compromise. He actually comes in useful for once, and he's like, let's play this game of color tag. Leo, hold your eye roll for a second. I have like the designated moment for you to roll your eyes, where one person names a color that they're thinking of, and the others need to find something that color and touch it before they're tagged by the other person. And Yamagishi explains that people judge colors slightly differently, and he believes that by revealing those judgments to each other, they'll reveal their true colors inside their own hearts to one another. All right, Leo, you can roll your eyes now.
Man,
This is why I get irritated with the show. It's like it has such good character development, but then it does cheesy bullshit
yeah,
like this.
it's such bullshit. And really, this was just an attempt / experiment in creative writing where you have to use colors to explain things. It's like, this is so an assignment you would be assigned if you're in like a creative writing class.
And I like
So what
a
it
million
was.
% agree with that. I when you wrote that, I laughed so hard because it's like, yes, this is absolutely like Writer's Workshop 101.
Yeah, and I was it was just so, I don't know, on the face about it. I was like, I don't know, it just really turned me off. Really turned me off.
Yeah, it's just like this kind of cheesy, forced framework of a way to end the show. But I also think they did a good job of it. Like, I think Mario Kata like wrote her way out of this like cheesy framework pretty well.
Did she?
I think it was a pretty strong way to end it. Yeah.
I think you're just in love with this show.
I mean, it's a
there were
good
parts
show.
of this that were like, there were parts of the show that were like, let me write this glowing fantasy of what I want life to be like, and then it's like, now it's all fucked because this was cheesy and terrible, and it's like such a contrast to like how good she is with character design.
It does feel like it's so rushed, but yeah. Hitaha quickly tags Momoko, she's the first one, to find something like gray, like the sigh of the moon or something. And that one's not very eventful because like Momoko finds like a desk chair and that's gray. And then Hitaha's like, no, that's the wrong gray. And so Momoko's it. And Momoko's like, I need you to find a peach-colored Momoko who couldn't sleep because she was thinking of Nina. And so Nina runs off. She actually takes it really seriously, which I liked. because she's trying to like reciprocate Momoko's feelings.
What else a peach represents? Female anatomy.
That's true. That's a good point, Leo.
Yeah.
So yeah, Nina like can't find anything, and like Momoko's like, that's fine. I don't even know what I'm thinking of. I'm not really thinking straight either. But Nina's just basically like, I still really want to be your friend, and so I really want to understand how you feel. And Momoko gives her like a back hug and tells her she's it, and she's kind of happy at least with that.
See, this is not a good idea. If you have a crush on someone, I really don't think you can stay friends with that person. I think it just ends in mess and awkwardness. Because, like, they know you're in love with them. You know you're in love with them. They're not in love with you.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah. You
at least have to keep your distance for a while.
And it's kind of annoying because, like, this is the last like real moment between Momoko and Nina in this show, because now we go into the whole like love triangle thing, and like that was it. Like that was basically their end until one thing at the very end of the episode, which is not much, which we'll cover, but I wish there had been more between them. But like I said previously, like this ending does feel a little bit rushed. Like I wish they had more time.
There are like there are things that she does with the characters that I get really irritated with because it's not realistic in the end.
Yeah. So Nina's color that she wants people to track down is the blues of our youth. And so...
roll eyes again.
Izumi and Kazusa go running off. Yamagishi's alone with Hitaha for a moment for like their last big scene together, which was also like a little bit underwhelming because he's just basically like, yeah, there are other protagonists in this story, so I'm okay with like standing to the side and like helping them. And he tells Hitaha that she's been very entertaining through all this, like to the point of being a burden. Like all she wanted was to be entertaining to him in like the hotel room and whatever. So she kind of gets what she wants, but at the same time, she's like, I haven't reached my full goal yet. Like we'll in season 2, I'll fuck you. No, like that's apparently like that's basically what it is. So, I don't know, that's their end. And then Nina feels her way through the halls. Oh, sorry, Kazusa feels her way through the halls in the dark. Thinking about how she hasn't been able to find her way recently. It's like a metaphor because she's lost in the dark. The moon emerges from behind the clouds, though, and it shrouds this whole hallway in blue. So she finds the color. And then Izumi finds her first. And Izumi tries to set things straight. He apologizes to her and tells her, like, the truth is that he's really attracted to Kazusa, but, like, the other feelings that he has for her, like of like family and like just pure love, are way stronger than his like physical attraction to her. So it's sort of embarrassing for him at the moment to like look at her sexually because of that, and he doesn't know how to balance that with like the other ways that he feels about her, like brotherly ways, basically. And like it sort of just like wraps itself up because Kazusa's like, yeah, I feel exactly the same way. And we just needed to say this out loud. And she's like, I'm sure one day, like, we'll feel, like, sexually about each other. And they, like, grab each other's hands. And then they get, like, you know, embarrassed. But, like, I don't know. It seemed kind of convenient the way this wrapped up. Because it didn't really solve anything. They just talked to each other. And, like, confirmed that they both feel awkward. I don't know. It didn't feel like they wrapped anything up here. And Nina listens from around the corner, and Izumi says he hated himself for thinking of Nina in a sexual way because she's a good person, and it's like, that's okay, dog. You can think of people in a sexual way. They're still good people. It's fine. And Kazusa tells him, like, yeah, I think of Nina in a sexual way too, like in that bath episode. And she's like, wait, don't imagine that. God damn it. So yeah, meanwhile, Rika continues to grill Shun on how far he's been with girls. And he's like, well, I might have kissed one too. And she starts like yelling and screaming that she wants to like erase those memories. She gets like really up in his face and he kisses her on the forehead, like very gently. And he tells her like, well, I've kissed a girl on the lips, but I've never kissed anyone on the forehead before. And goddamn, I love these two. They're so good.
Yeah, they're probably the healthiest couple in this whole goddamn
Easily, yeah. Even if Rika is crazy. But yeah. And yeah, they are about to go in to kiss each other for real, but are interrupted by Hitaha, who is still jealous, and says, I guess it was a bad idea to have boys around. Let's send them all home. So they send the 2 boys and Yamagishi home. And the girls are all burned out, and they're just like continuing the color metaphors. Like Hitaha's like, I feel like I'm a pale white. And then
nobody talks like this in real life. Nobody says this.
They're a fucking literature club, Kat.
If somebody said this in real life to you, I feel like I'm a pale white or whatever, you would look at them and would think to yourself, they need to be in an insane asylum.
No, you would look at them.
They need some therapy.
And
you would say, no, I prefer Dostoevsky's book by the same name. That's what you would say, Kat. That's what real people say.
You would say, this person is not well adjusted to be in society. You would think that to yourself, because it's not something people say.
This is a fictional story, Kat. It's heightened, for effect. It's a little cheesy, obviously. And so the fucking like principal shows up the next morning, right? And like basically they hash out that like everybody feels like white is the color of purity, and that you have to remain pure, and then if you're dyed in a different color, that you're somehow sullied by that. And it's obviously like a metaphor for like them going through puberty and emerging on the other side of it, like different. But like they're not worse people. They've just evolved. They found different colors inside themselves. They found different things that are important to them. And it's not something like the principal should be like discouraging or whatever. And he arrives the next day, and there's some students there, and there are banners like all over the campus, like painted with things like "End the Tyranny" and like Sonozaki didn't do it. That's Rika. And the girls are like asleep in the club room, and they have like different colored paints all over them. And Yamagishi like mugs the camera, and he's like, "Those girls are really in their savage season, bro." And so, okay, after the credits, final thing, Rika and Shun are at college together. This is like a little flash forward. They seem happy. Hitaha is still in club with Yamagishi as the advisor, because she's still in school. And they've got some new girls in their savage season. Hitaha is also narrating like the whole section with like a speech about how they'll be a bit more experienced and clever in the future because of all this, but they'll still look back on this period fondly as like the chaos it was. Yamagishi is getting married to the teacher with the butt, Tomita. And Momoko Momoko and Nina are at a train station with Kazusa, and Kazusa leaves to go meet Izumi, and Momoko like gently tugs on Nina's like shirt sleeve, which is like the only indication that you get that they might be a couple now. It's very much left up in the air. But that's like a very romantic thing to do. So I would say that they are canon a couple now. But Kazusa and Izumi hold hands on the train, and as they go through the tunnel from the
part.
Yeah, I love how it ends. Yeah, they go through the tunnel, right, from like the very first episode that was like very metaphorical, and it cuts to black, and Kazusa's like, it fit.
God.
I love that. That was a good ending. I really like that a lot. So in general, what do you guys think about this final episode?
I felt it was rushed, and I felt it was too corny and cheesy.
Well,
I felt like it went off the rails.
Yeah,
at the end of the last episode, and I was like, things made sense. Why people reacted the way they did made sense, but then at the end of the last episode and just this one, I'm like, what is this insanity? What was she trying to achieve when she wrote this?
It feels like she turned into like a 5-year-old or something.
I think she was very much trying to get across that girls should not feel embarrassed to like go through puberty and have sexual feelings. They shouldn't be made to feel like outcast because of it. Basically, is what mostly what she's getting across. Yeah,
I understand what she's trying to get, but it just came across as very naive about the way reality is and the way things actually turn out in these situations.
Yeah, I suppose you could definitely make an argument for that. Yeah. I don't know. I think it was a fun ending, even if it was like extremely conveniently set up with like the whole color tag thing and everything. Like to just like, this is a way to wrap up everybody's story in like 5 minutes. I wish they had more time to more naturally evolve all of this stuff. Because especially the way that Nina's story with Momoko doesn't get any attention because she has to wrap up her feelings with the other two first as part of the love triangle. And she like really didn't even get to like hash things out with them. She just kind of stood around a corner while they hashed things out. And it's like, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. This just felt like a little half-baked.
I mean, they are the primary couple. And she's just like the one in the middle.
Yeah, but she was like by far the most interesting one out of them, you know?
Well, it's adapted from a manga. You think, I don't know if this is how the manga ends too.
I think if she needed more time. I think that they couldn't do 24 episodes. There's not enough time. There's not enough material to really fit in 24. But there wasn't really, they couldn't squeeze it into 12 like they thought they could. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, I mean, it's written by, the manga was written by Mario Okada too. So I don't know. Like, I think this is probably how it. I think they adapted everything. I don't know. I don't know. I think you could probably blame Mario Okada if it's a little bit rushed, honestly. But yeah,
the end is just a little rushed. I mean, and naive. I would even say that. Even just besides rush. She
kind of just wanted to like depict probably like a short, tumultuous period of like, you know, high school and relationships.
I mean, but like for the tumultuous shit, there's not like moments where people are like, this terrible thing happened and this relationship is ruined and now we can never speak again. And like that's reality of like like that shit. Right? Yeah. In reality, no one's like, I forgive you for trying to hit on my boyfriend or whatever. Like, in reality, there's a fight. Like I did with my friend when we found out we were dating the same person. Like, there's a fight and you don't speak to that person. I remember that story. And things are awkward.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And then, you know, there's ruined relationships and terrible feelings and like gossip in the hallway and like,
oh no,
that's the shit that actually happens in like middle school and high school, not like, and then they decided they forgave each other.
You know, I'm pretty sure.
And then they ran down a hallway and talked about magical
damn
colors.
Listeners have been there before.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's not what happens.
Oh man. Well, that's what happened though. So. Let's find out what happened in Demon Slayer. Then we can talk about this one later.
Baby.
Double episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna cover 25 and 26.
Double.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so we got DJ Cat today, bringing you your Demon Slayer pleasure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So episode 25. Hold on. You know what, Hiei? Now you're just being a bitch. I took away your collar. You find a ball. Now you're making noise with the damn ball.
Not so cute anymore, huh?
This is what happens when you name your cat after the main character of Yu Yu Hakusho. It's a little ball of thunder.
I mean, he's not a main character. He's like the side character. But
yeah, I guess so.
I'm going to take his fucking ball away. Because apparently he can't. Yeah, and in a couple weeks, he's going to get his real balls taken away.
Oh, wow.
He's getting fucking neutered.
Had to say it out loud. Poor cat.
I mean, it's true. He doesn't know what that means.
Yeah, when I first got Chio, I didn't get her fixed in the first place, and she went in the heat. It's fucking awful. Like 3 a.m, and she's going.
Mm-hmm.
No, don't give me that.
And you're like, what the fuck, cat?
Mm-hmm.
What?
Cat's going to heat.
Cat's going into heat.
When I had Chio, I didn't get her fixed right away, so she went in heat, and they're just fucking awful.
Oh, I mean, cats in heat are very awful.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very, very
They'll like just turn around and like put their butt in the air at any moment. Like anytime you're anywhere near them, they're just like, sex? Sex? Maybe? Like, I don't know. Like boy cats aren't much better though. They spray everything.
Yeah.
So.
Even Winfix, they sometimes still do.
Yeah, so that's why he's getting them done soon. So. Haha. Anyway, now that I've taken my cat's only joy in life away, episode 25 is Sukugo Kanao. I don't know why they name things dumb. Sukugo Kanao.
Well, it's like her
whatever.
backstory episode, Yeah.
I mean, it's a different fucking language, cat.
I know, but there should be some words in there that like make sense to me. Okay, so if you give me one English word and two Japanese words, I can mostly.
Well,
work with
the
it,
Suguko thing, we learned that's like her rank, sort of, inside like the Slayers, because she's not a true Slayer. The Sugukos are ones are like swordsmen or whatever, or swordswomen in this case.
That makes sense more then. Okay, but yeah. So Tanjiro at the beginning of this episode asked the little girls to help him learn to train with the breathing technique while he's asleep by waking him up with like the wooden laundry beater things when he stops like doing it while he's asleep.
Wooden laundry beaters.
That's what they are though, because I thought about it. I'm like, those are the things that you see in all the anime. They're like all decorative and shit, but all they do is smack like blankets with them.
Yeah, they do rugs because it's like the only way they had to get like dust off.
Well, only in Japan though are there like specialized sticks for laundry. Like in like the U.S. before we had dryers, like we didn't have specialized sticks. Like we just got some like stick from a tree and we're like beat your laundry with this.
Use like a tennis racket or something.
Yeah, or like we're sitting here like in Hickville, like, all right, guys, I got this stick off a tree. It's not even got that much dirt on it or anything. Let me beat my laundry with it. In Japan, they're like, we'd never do anything so crude. Let's make these very artistic, like little rods that we only use for
and
this
Tanjiro's
purpose.
like, I'm gonna have little girls beat me in my sleep.
I've got something special planned for this. I even got a better use out of this. No, Tanjiro's not like that. But I mean, not with them. Only with his sister is he like that. Oh god, that's even worse. Anyway, so he has these little girls beat him, and it's supposed to be cute. It is kind of cute, but then when you say that out loud, it's no longer cute, and then it's just weird. The other two bitches, like Zenitsu and Inosuke, are still not going to training. I don't even know how you live with that shame.
Yeah.
Like, oh, we're here to get better, and we're here so that, like, we can keep doing our fucking job. But instead, we're going to sit in this hospital room and be lazy sons of bitches while our friend goes and does the job that we're supposed to be doing, and we're just gonna be like, oh yeah, well, what you gonna do? I
misread that because like I thought that they had like figured something out for themselves and were gonna do their own training while he was doing his, but no they were just lazy and like scared.
Yeah, they were just lazy.
They were just doing jack all.
I don't know how you came to that conclusion.
I thought they were better people than they are, and I don't know why I did.
No, I don't know why you thought they were better people. Oh man,
God. I mean. Yeah, Inosuke is depressed, and Zenitsu is Zenitsu. So, what you weren't thinking. That was the problem.
I felt like Inosuke is the kind of person who would like do his own beast training or something and unlock some own special skill for himself, right? You know?
Did you become?
Well, like Inosuke is a weirdo, really? But like Zenitsu's just, I don't know, he's an idiot. He could do anything, but
Inosuke has no brain.
Yeah, true.
I feel like Inosuke has been oh, what's the surgery where they cut your brain in half?
Oh, lobotomy. Yeah.
Lobotomy, yeah. I feel like Inosuke has had a lobotomy or something because it just doesn't seem like he thinks things through ever. Like, it's concerning to me. and Zenitsu is just dumb.
True.
I don't know. He has the ability to think things through. He just chooses not to. I get less angry at Inosuke because I really don't feel like he has the ability sometimes. Sometimes I'm just like, Inosuke is a lost cause. Like, I can't even be angry at him. He's just Inosuke. But Zenitsu, I'm like, you bastard, you're just stupid. Like, I don't know. He gets all my anger. Meanwhile, Tanjiro is doing everything they ask him to do and more. Like, they ask him to do these 5 exercises. He does, like, 10 exercises. And then he goes off with the little girls and tries to breathe into gourds to prove how, like, strong his fucking lungs are or whatever. Maybe this is the technique I should learn, apparently. How to explode gourds.
Strengthen your lungs.
Just really exercise my lungs.
think that you would probably hurt yourself.
I feel like, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like you would pop your lungs. I feel like if someone really tried to do that, they'd like explode
you
their
like
lungs.
fuck up your lungs bad.
Yeah. But yeah, you get the whole montage. It's cute. He gets better at everything, of course. Eventually, Zenitsu and Inosuke start to like watch Tanjiro from the door, like little children. Like, ooh, what's this? Ooh. Anyway, I don't know. I got so angry at them. Finally, they start to try to do things only because Shinobu manipulated both of
Fucking
them.
Inosuke's reaction to that pissed me off because he's like, "Don't mess with me, or I'll swear I'll rip off your breasts." And I was like, "Yo, Inosuke, chill the fuck out."
I must have like looked away at that
Yeah.
part because I didn't remember
I was
that.
like, I was kind of shocked
I was like,
by
okay,
that part.
do you really think you can,
Yes,
Inosuke?
first of all, yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and this is why I say Inosuke just doesn't, like, he has a lobotomy or something. Because, like, he's not even thinking. Like, if she's, like, a Hashira, he's not going to rip her fucking breasts off. Like, he's not thinking. Like, it's almost like he can't, I don't know. But yeah, so then Kanao has her backstory here. Basically, her parents are, like, super abusive and beat her and don't feed her. And eventually she just breaks, and like she kind of describes it as, I heard a sound like a snap, and I never knew pain again. So she basically is just like, and I had a psychological breakdown.
Yeah, like a dissociative kind of disorder, yeah.
Yeah. And eventually her parents sell her, and she doesn't really even give a shit about that, which, honestly, it's probably better off for her in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Although, I mean, that dude who bought her, I'm kind of like, what's his intentions there? But who knows?
What, you don't just take kids around town and like on a leash?
Well, because she's like a girl, so
yeah, God,
yeah, it's but she's seen by Shinobu and her sister Kanae. I don't know.
We know who you're talking about. It's fine.
Yeah. And they ask why the child is on a rope if she isn't a criminal, and he's like, "She dirty, and like she might run away, so I tied her up."
I like the accent.
And I mean, at this point, Kanao is just like gone inside, and this is evident when like Kanae looks at her eyes and just stares at her, and so they kind of buy her so they can take her away and help her. And they're actually kind of worried that this guy won't take their money because he's kind of like, "This done none your business." Because when they keep asking questions, he kind of does like start being like, "It's none of your business what I'm doing. Like, leave us alone." So they actually just throw money into the wind and like run with her, and they're like, "Get your money off the ground!"
Yep.
Like, and that's how they get her away. And they take her home and give her a bath, and of course, Shinobu is really frustrated with Kanao because she won't do anything.
I thought it was really
herself.
interesting to see this side of her because she's not like this person at all anymore.
Oh yeah, Shinobu. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think this is the real her, though.
Yeah, it's like where she's comfortable, and with her, like, I guess Kanai is like her older sister, I suppose. I think.
Yes.
And so maybe this is the way she acts with her older sister when she's not the one who's like in complete control anymore. Yeah.
No, I think this is like when she doesn't have to put on a front, when she doesn't have to be what everyone needs her to be, or or what she thinks she should be. This is like who she really is.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, it's the old her.
No, I really do think that's like.
And then she became the way she is now because her sister was murdered by a demon. Yeah.
Wait, what?
Wouldn't explain. Yes.
Shut up, Leo. Spoilers. I mean, we know she died, but like, but yeah. So she won't do anything for herself, like eat even when she's hungry, which makes me wonder, like, how did her parents even keep her alive then before they gave her up?
She's
who knows?
Barely alive.
Wait, did she tell?
Yeah.
Is that what she told Tanjiro like an episode ago, that her sister was killed by a demon? Because I totally forgot that. It's been a while.
I think that was an episode ago.
Yeah.
I'm vaguely remembering that now.
I don't think we know the details. We know that she died.
Yeah. Gotcha.
But yeah, so Kanai gives Kanao a coin to help her make decisions since she can't decide things for herself. And she tells Kanao that one day, like, you'll fall in love, and then you'll be able to make decisions for yourself, like a real Cinderella or whatever. And I'm just like,
I also was like, at that. Like, why does she need a boy's love to solve her, like, abusive past? Like, can't she? Isn't this something she could solve on her own? Why specifically does, like, falling in love with a boy fix her? Like, I was just... This seems convenient.
Because the male viewer can then be like, that could be me.
No, it's because
That's
then
exactly
the male viewer
what that
can
is.
feel like, you know what? I can be someone's superhero, and I can fix them, and I can be amazing. Baby. Yeah. Yep. Because there's nothing men love more than feeling like they are useful or they've done something amazing for a woman. I don't know why. It's like the hero complex. It drives me insane. A lot of men have this hero complex. All right. So in flashback, the blacksmith forger people come to fix Inosuke and Tanjiro's swords. And Tanjiro is like, oh, this guy whose name I'm not going to try to pronounce because I'm not Japanese. I'm excited to see you again and your jellyfish glass things on your fucking head. Which still weird me out. But instead, this dude tries to attack Tanjiro for snapping the sword he forged in two. And I felt that was unfair. He didn't do it on purpose. And then the other blacksmith, Kanamori, is much more calm, and he forged Inosuke's swords. And I love, there's a part where Tanjiro's like, I'm so happy for you, Inosuke. Your blades were chipped all over. Like, I'm so glad that you have new ones. And then he takes them, and like he's just like, and he's just like silently staring at them. And then he starts taking his stone and like chipping out the new ones again. And it becomes like apparent why they were chipped because like he wants them that way. Like he wants these like little grooves in them.
He wants a serrated blade.
I guess it's like is it that
which
or
would
is it
cut
aesthetic?
like fucking
Probably,
shit.
Yeah, I don't know if it's aesthetic or if he just wants them to be serrated. But, like, if you really wanted that, then why not just tell your blacksmith, like, I want this?
It's Inosuke, the guy you said who's had a lobotomy. Come on.
I know. He just can't think. Like, this is what I get so... Like, I just think he's just, like, hopeless. He's the kind of person you just say, go kill these things. Go, meat shield. And he goes, yes! And, like, does that.
Yep.
You know?
That is totally his character. He nailed it.
Yeah, so, of course, Kanamori is pissed about this. And even Kanamori is very calm and like, I'm sorry for my coworker who tried to destroy you. And like, he's like, oh, unbelievable! It has to be like let off screaming while he like, ah! And like tries to attack Inosuke. So, that was fun. But yeah, I don't know. Tanjiro is finally able to beat all the training exercises like the water game and the chasing game. And finally, Tanjiro is like given the clear that he's healed and he can be on his way to new missions by Shinobu. And at this point, Tanjiro is like, hey, Shinobu, have you ever heard of this thing called the Hinakami Kagura dance? And she's like, nope, I haven't. And like this just disappoints Tanjiro a lot because he's hoping to learn more about the fire breathing and how to improve like his skills and all this. And she tells him that although flame breathing does exist, it is not the same as fire breathing. But that she isn't clear on the details, only that they are very strict about the exact phrasing. And she does tell him that Rengoku, the Flame Hashiro, might be able to tell him more. And I'm assuming this will be like a giant future arc. Like, this just screams to me like this is going to be important.
It'll either be an arc in a new future season or in the upcoming movie, which, yeah.
Or the movie, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, this just screams to me like there will be a lot more on this later. So, Tanjiro is worried that Nezuko is still asleep, so he talks to her in her sleep like a weirdo. It's kind of pathetic. Like, she's not even saying shit. She never says anything because she has, like, a gag on her, like, permanently. But, you know, he still hallucinates her voice somehow.
Do you think, okay, do you think they're telepathically communicating, or do you think he's imagining her voice?
No, I think he's fucking imagining her voice for his own self-serving cause. Yeah.
For a second there, I was like, is Nezuko a telepath? I don't know.
No, I think he's an idiot. So, you get this flash of a demon on a train. At the
Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress! Woo!
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Which, if any of the listeners have not seen Cabaneri of the Iron Fortress, definitely go watch it.
It's
you don't
fun.
need to go watch
Yeah,
it.
it's
fun.
really
I promise
good.
you.
It's really good.
You don't. You really
watch
don't
it for
need to.
Train
Oh,
Girl.
God.
Oh, Jesus.
I'm going to have to go for a minute.
She's hot and she's well animated. Like, what else do you want to know? Like, that's all that. There's nothing that good about
I want
Cabaneri
to
of
see
the
the
Iron
dumbbell she
Fortress.
lifts. That's what I want to see.
All it is like candy. That's all it is.
What's
I love
wrong
candy.
with that?
It's delicious.
That makes it really fun
What
to watch.
isn't good? Give
The
me
more reason to
something that
watch
makes
it on
sense.
Halloween when you don't have candy, you can just watch candy. It'll be great.
There you go. Get you some eye candy.
I just don't think the
Well,
plot was
I agree
good
that
enough.
the plot had some flaws, especially in the second half. But
It's not even. The plot's not even finished. I mean, like it. Was
Well, I know, but
left on,
are
like,
they going to finish it?
I don't know.
No?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything, so,
So-
I'd probably
there's
not.
well, they made a
unfortunately.
movie that came out this year, so there's that at least.
Eh.
I need to watch that then.
You say that. You know that you never will. That's the thing about movies.
I'm writing it down right now just to prove Kat wrong. I'm gonna fucking watch this movie.
Speaking of movies coming out,
Watch Cabaneri.
the next episode is
to
Jesus
bite
Christ.
cat.
I love how episode
Circle.
26 is like a giant teaser for the movie.
I love how when you were done fucking writing that, you slammed your pen down hard enough
Threw
that
that
it
pen
echoed.
down.
It echoed across all of our fucking mic channels. Like, boom! You're like, fucking cat, I'm gonna prove her wrong.
I think there's a second season coming. Let me see if I can see on Mal. Cabaneri. Wait, are there just more movies coming? Hold on. No, the movies are out.
Cabaneri season.
Is there another sequel announced?
So June 3rd,
I
2019.
thought for sure there was a new sequel season announced that like is coming out next year, but I could be wrong. Maybe that was just the movies.
Wow, it aired back in April 8th of 2016.
Yeah. I thought they were making more, but maybe it was just those movies. I haven't seen the movies yet. I think they're on Netflix, by the way.
It's made
So
3
Yeah.
fucking movies.
it was like, but they're like short. Like they form like one long movie, basically. I think. So I think they're like 3 half-hour movies,
Okay.
basically.
Yeah, they're on Netflix.
And you know why they did that, right? They did that so they could release all of those in fucking Japanese theaters, and each one they could charge a separate ticket for.
Capitalism. Woo!
You know,
Okay.
I'm not wrong. All right. So, episode 26, new mission. So, this is just kind of the wrap up episode. Kanao is finally being matched by Tanjiro, and you can tell this is kind of new for her. We get a flash of Kibutsuji coming to this weird, nebulous, distorted place, which I guess is the lower, like Kazuki, he summoned them there with like some magical, weird, like banjo woman.
Yeah, it's like the whole thing's really trippy because like the rooms, like on the sides, the ceilings, and everywhere it's
Everything's like upside down and there's no
So-
gravity. And it reminds me of that painting. What's that modern painting where like there's staircases that are going upside down?
Oh my god. I was thinking the same thing, and I just fucking forgot the name. Staircases, surreal. I'm just googling. MC Escher, yeah, like his like staircases that go in different directions.
Yeah.
that.
God.
Yeah, it looks like that. And like there's this Japanese woman in the middle who's got like a banjo and she's just like strumming it. Like apparently she's the one who controls this space.
So
So I'm assuming it's not really a banjo. It's like a Japanese banjo. I don't know what they
It
call
was
it.
a sit.
it's called a biwa. It's like a Japanese lute almost. Yeah,
A biwa?
it's like
Oh,
yeah.
in Dororo,
Yeah,
the
biwa.
wandering priest had one as well that he had a sword inside of. But wait, let me say about
Okay.
this. Like
Yeah.
the weird thing about this whole transition is the production quality is so high for this. Like, because like this, it's hard to do 3D CG that looks like this that does in this show. And I was like, is this part of the movie that's coming out? Because it looks very movie quality. And so if it's not part of the movie,
Well,
it's at least like an introduction.
I don't think it's part of the movie, but it's definitely a straight up
it's straight
setup.
up setting up the movie
for the movie.
100%,
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think that this woman is one of the
Yeah,
upper
yeah.
Kazuki. And so they are going to use this setup again when one of them fights her.
Yep.
That's what I'm assuming. So they just were like, well, we're going to have to make it eventually anyway. Fuck it. Let's just make it now. I'm assuming that's what they decided as a production staff. I don't know. Maybe I'm completely wrong.
It just looks so good. Like because that whole area, that surreal staircases and like Japanese doors and everything area is like so well realized in 3D, and all like the weird like camera movements and like the blood, it's so good. But yeah.
And even though I know it's called a banwa or whatever, I'm gonna call this woman
call her Banjo Kazooie, please. Thank you.
But yeah, so Kibutsuji comes and he's like, "Why are the lower Kazuki so weak?" And he's angry.
He's also looks like a woman now, and his like aura is
he's
like
a
totally
shapeshifter, I guess. Yeah.
Well, I was about to mention that, but yeah. So he didn't look like himself. He's pissed off. He's talking some shit to his lower Kazuki people who he's all summoned here. And one of them thinks to himself as they all like kneel by his feet, like, easy for you to say, like, I can't do shit about this. Like, I'm sorry. Kind of like just thinking in his head. And I guess Kibutsuji can read minds, so he kills him for that.
Yep.
And then one of them decides, like, well, one of them is just like, please, no, I've done everything you've asked. Da, 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 da. And he's like, are you refuting me? And then kills her like that. And then one of them's like, well, this obviously isn't going well. I'm out of here. And like tries to run. And that doesn't work. So he kills that one too. I think the Kizuki need
to unionize because they're under some bad working conditions. They need some rights here. Jesus Christ.
Oh, God. Don't bring unions up with me right now. We're currently discussing our contract for the next year. And it's fucking shitty.
So are you part of a union or are you not in a union?
DWU, Diesel's Workers Union.
See, but I so when I was in a union, I liked it because even though they're annoying sometimes, like
ours,
at least you're protected.
See, this is why I didn't want to get into it. God damn it. So ours at one point in time used to be good, but we've slowly been losing our rights every single contract. And like, I'm talking about the old hires and like they fought for all this stuff. And like every contract, they take something away, and it just keeps getting worse and worse and worse.
So they're not fighting for you anymore.
No, not really.
Yeah, because when I was part of the Kroger union when I was a teenager and worked at Kroger, and like I will say, it keeps you from getting fired. Like they better have some good reasons for fucking firing you.
And that's really the only thing the union's doing now. Like at one point we had something called cost of living. So like when it was like basically like a guaranteed raise because like the cost of living would go up and so would our pay. And like that's when I've talked to the senior hires, that what irks them the most is when they lost that one because it was one of the ones they fought the hardest for during like some layoff in like fucking 1986. I don't know.
Yeah, because I mean that makes sense because that's what part of what a union is to protect their workers from that.
Yeah, and they're kind of failing. Okay, let's fucking talk about Demon Slayer, goddamn. Let's not talk about unions. You're just making me depressed.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the third one tries to run away. It doesn't work either. He dies. It becomes clear at this point he's going to kill them all because he's dismantling the lower ranks of Kazuki as it isn't turning out well for him. One of them's like, please give me more time. Give me your blood. I'll do better. I promise. And he's like, how dare you demand things of me? And like kills it. So kills him. So it's obvious at this point, like he's just looking for excuses to kill these people. Like he's just having fun with it. None of this is no one's really going to get out of here. And the last one is just like, I love this. It's a dream to die by your hand. Thank you for letting me watch everyone die. And it's clear that this one's like fucking nuts or something. Yeah. Well, something's twisted in his little brain, his little kitty brain. And this seems to make Kibutsuji happy, and so he stabs him with some of his blood. And this dude like convulses on the floor. I don't even think they give us. I don't think they
did either. Yeah,
which is annoying.
No.
And Kibutsuji is basically like, you'll either die or you'll be stronger, and you can go and kill this guy named Tanjiro for me. So,
well, he also says he wants them to kill the Hishira, the flame Hishira, also. right?
Well, yeah,
Right?
but like I think the main focus was kill Tanjiro.
I think
'Cause
he
he
wanted
gives
to
them all
kill
these
like all
images
of the
of
Hashira,
Tanjiro.
or maybe at least that one. Yeah.
Well,
But
if he can,
Yeah.
but I don't think he's really expecting
Nah.
this one thing like to kill all of the Hashira. I think he's just like, here's the targets that I'd like for you to kill. Here's a Hashira, but of equal strength, I want you to also kill Tanjiro. So if you could do
Gotcha.
that for me, that would be awesome. Basically. So he's kind of promoting him in a way because he's like saying, "There's no longer a lower Kizuki, but you're pretty much one of the upper ones now." So I don't know. It's strange. This guy is weird looking. I guess we'll see more of him next season.
Guy, he's also like slightly feminine.
I was
weird.
surprised when it said like man because it makes it clear in some way that he's a man, and I was like, oh, I thought maybe that was a woman. So yeah, it was definitely nebulous. Like if they had said like she, I would have not blinked
sure.
about it.
Yep.
So, but yeah, so we find out the next arc is going to be the Infinite Train.
You mean
Because there's
the
like
next
this
movie?
Well, or I don't know, whatever the fuck. I don't think it's gonna because like the crows like in a aside are like the Infinite Train has killed more people, more than 40 are
You
missing,
can
and I'm
do
just
a
like,
better crow voice than that.
I'm not doing the crow voice. I don't like the crow voice. Why not?
Leo, you gotta get it out now. It's your last chance to do the crow. Well, actually, no. There'll be more of this fucking show.
There'll be a second season.
Yeah, apparently, it's like the Infinity Train arc is what the movie is gonna adapt. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. So
Demons
Shinobu
on a
recommended.
train.
Sick and tired of all these demons on this motherfucking train.
This motherfucking train. Oh man. So Shinobu recommends Tanjiro for this next mission, and the master is curious why. And Shinobu's like, well, he has a pure soul and a clear goal in mind, and also he has potential talent, and all those things are probably true. So Tanjiro runs into that guy at the final selection, who was really rude. And he's still rude because he just runs into Tanjiro and walks off.
He's also tall
not
and
really-
He's like
buffer.
way buffer now.
Yeah.
like fucking damn it, what am I thinking of?
Machio.
Hit him like a train. I'm sorry. Oh, puberty hit him like a
gotcha.
train.
Okay,
That's what I was looking for. You.
Did puberty come in
Yeah.
like a wrecking ball?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Anyway, so he runs off and tells the girls that he's leaving. They all seem sad to see him go. Aoi is like ashamed that she hasn't gone into battle like he has. And I think his answer was kind of shitty. Did you guys feel that way?
What was his
Where
answer?
he's like, well, but you, because you've helped me, are part of me. So you don't have to be ashamed that you haven't done anything because now you're just an extension of myself.
Yeah, I think it's
that's
a nice
shitty.
thing to say to her. Like, I think.
yeah.
I mean, but that means that she isn't accomplishing anything in her own right. She's only
But she has
accomplished
aided
something
in the
by
effort.
being an extension of him.
She has aided in the effort. That's more than what she was giving herself before.
No, I think he should have said, "You've done a lot of amazing things in this area, and you've helped a lot of people.
That's
That's-
basically what he
that's
says.
Now
though.
you're an
what he
extension
said.
of me."
That's basically what
No,
he
it
said.
is different though. It's different. It's different to say that you've helped other people and you've done something good by helping other people, rather than you've done something good by becoming an extension of myself,
I
and
guess
I'm
I
amazing.
see. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't think he's meaning it to be like that. I
Yeah.
think he's trying to say like your efforts are not going to waste. Like you still have self-worth. Like even though you're like she's struggling, she's afraid to go to the battlefield. But yeah. Like yeah, I see what you're saying though. Like you could read it as like I'm so awesome and like you just made me more awesome, so now we're both awesome together. But yeah,
Yeah, and I was just like, well, that's kind of
yeah.
dickish.
I don't think he
so,
means it to
alright.
be that way though. Yeah.
I mean, I don't think that they want you
Yeah,
to think
yeah.
he means it that way, but yeah. Anyway, so when he goes to say goodbye to Kanao, she flips a coin and is like, "Oh, okay, goodbye," and thanks him. And all she does when he asks her about the coin for a while is just say like goodbye again. And then she finally explains about the coin helping her make decisions and that she just decided whether to speak to him. And she says it doesn't matter what she wants, that she doesn't have wants, basically. And Tanjiro's like, that's not true. There's not anything that doesn't matter. And like, the voice in your heart may just be tiny. And he borrows her coin and like tells her that if it's heads, she needs to follow the voice in her heart from now on. And flips it and is like, oh, it's heads. So now you have to change your whole way of living because I said so. And she's like, what would you have done if it was tails? And he's like, I would have kept tossing it because I demand that you change the way you live because I said so. And of course, this means that she's in love with him forever.
It really is. That is a very accurate way of portraying that scene. Like, honestly, it really is. Like, it's supposed to be like a big, like, romantic thing. But, like, yeah, it's a little too clean and simple for me. Like, yeah, I think.
Well, I mean, I get that she should start making decisions for herself and that, like, she has development to do. But people are only going to develop because they decided themselves to do that.
Well,
and they done themselves. Nobody develops because of someone else
but you
forcing
can give
them
people
to.
a push, and sometimes that helps. Yeah.
You can, but that push has to be within them. It can't be like you made them do that. And that's kind of what they're trying to say in this scene, and it's annoying. It's like she didn't think of that herself or like come to a decision. Like he just came in and was like, "Now you're doing this."
Yeah, like for sure. I mean, I want to see how it plays out,
that's
but
not the
I
way
agree with you for now.
works.
That it's a little bit of a. I don't know.
Yeah. So, but yeah, all of them can break the gourds now.
Big gourds.
So impressive. Woohoo. This whole scene is just like everyone's saying goodbye. Like Zenitsu, it's told by the girls, like, learn to be considerate of girls.
It's also Tanjiro stealing all the girls' hearts.
Steals Kanal's heart, steal that other girl's heart. Yeah, everybody's after Tanjiro now.
Pretty much. So eventually they have to get on this train because they're gonna go fight these train people or whatever. All right, no. We're not stepping on the fucking laptop.
Cats and laptops, seriously, like they are just magnetized to laptops, like just bumping their head against like the corner of the screen, walking on the keyboard, sitting on it. Like, hey, I didn't realize you opened this for me to sit on. Thank you so much. It's very nice of you.
Oh, I know, it's so annoying. And then they're all like huddled behind it, like looking at me with their little beady eyes, like raccoons.
You're paying more attention to an inanimate object in front of you than them.
They're like, what is this madness? Why is she talking to thin air?
I know. So she's like, she's been talking to it for like hours. What the fuck? I know. So anyway, they finally have to get on this train for this next arc that we're going to see in a little bit. But Inosuke doesn't know what it is and is like, this thing, it's so big, so long, it's the master of this land. And part of me just wanted to make penis jokes. And then the other part, I don't know. Only Zenitsu is familiar and knows what a train is. And Tanjiro is just like stupid too. And he's like, I don't know what it is either. I'm a country bumpkin. And Inosuke decides that the only thing he can logically do is headbutt the train. And this causes a commotion, and the police come see that they all have swords, and so they're like, well, that's a violation. And so then they're like chasing after them. And of course, then this means that Zenitsu, the stupid idiot, it has to explain to these other people who are also stupid idiots that like demon slayers aren't recognized by the government and they can't have swords out because that's against the law. And I'm just like thinking to myself, how did Zenitsu live before, like, how did Tanjiro live before this that he doesn't understand that, like,
he was in a
not everyone understands
fairly
about demon
decent
slayers.
isolated village.
Well, but like he knew that he didn't know about demons before that, so like, why is this surprising to him?
I don't have an answer for you. Sorry.
Plot hole. Anyway. So the train starts to take off and they have to run beside the train and jump on. They barely make it. I feel like a lot of anime have that scene. The part about Nezuko and him like never being apart again And Zenitsu being like, are you sure that it was good to bring her? And he's like, we'll always be together. And I'm just like, no, stop it. Stop, abort. Like, first of all, no, you aren't going to be with your sister forever and ever and never be apart again. That's a boundary issue. Your sister is going to grow up and want to, like, have her own fucking life. All right. As are you, hopefully. I hope that when you're married one day, that you're not, like, sleeping with your fucking sister with your wife on the other side, okay? Like, you're gonna want some fucking space.
Contra,
just
dear,
saying.
can you move Nezuko's box off of the bed, please? I've told you 20 times.
I'm just, it's just a little ridiculous. And, like, stop with all this Bond bullshit. The relationship is incesty enough. Nobody wants to see the weird, like, lolicon incest creepiness that is happening here. Make it stop.
Make it stop. And with that, there is a movie coming in 2020, so it's not stopping anytime soon. This train has no stops.
They just need to make Tanjiro a love interest that actually sticks. Like, Kanao needs to get hotter and more adult and have her own opinions.
It'd be cool to see if Kanao's character actually does evolve into somebody who can think for themselves and make their own decisions. That'd be kind of cool.
We need to get the Nezuko and Tanjiro trains from colliding. That's all I'm saying.
I just want to say, like, I kept thinking as I was watching this episode, because it was a clear, like, teaser for the movie that's coming, that I was like, I was thinking back to My Hero Academia in the middle of, like, season 3 when they did the teaser episode for, like, the Two Heroes movie, but it was kind of shitty because, like, it was kind of like a rushed production and it didn't look good, and it was just like, it also felt really out of place in, like, the plot of My Hero Academia because it happened sort of in the middle of the season rather than, like, the last episode. I was like, man, Demon Slayer did such a better job of this because, like, they just put it at the end and they made the like whole scene with Kimetsuji and all the, like, Kizuki look awesome. Like, it looked like a movie quality almost. And I was like, that's how you set up a movie. Like, that's how you get people, like, really enticed to watch more of your thing, is, like, go all out, like, and make it, like, really, like, stand out. And so I thought they did a really good job there.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's time to talk about the friendship. So,
the
friend ship hyphen in Astra Lost in Space. That's the real name of the ship, Leo.
Oh, another double episode. This will, I think it's already our longest first part of the
I don't know
episode
why they
already.
didn't just make it a 14-episode series. Why the line? Why the lies?
I don't know. It is kind of weird, yeah. But they had so much to tell us about fucking Vixia.
Yeah, 2 episodes worth. Oh my god. So let me take a breather for a second.
Fine.
God
if
damn
only
it.
you had a cat
So
to, like,
much.
run across your keyboard. Oh yeah, everybody stretch. You know, if you're in your car, don't take your hands off the wheel, but you can stretch your shoulders out. It's fine.
If you have a kitten, go pet the kitten.
Exactly.
So Charse tells everyone that when they get back to their home planet, they should turn him into the authorities along with the adults who had made them. Kanata shows up immediately and says they aren't going to do that, and that he still trusts Charse, and he should actually be in bed because he just fucking lost an arm and is, like, passing out. And, like, the rest of the crew eventually kind of comes around and accepts him back and tells him he's going to have to pull some extra weight to make up for Kanata's lost arm, since it's, you know, your fucking fault. And finally, after getting enough supplies, they set out for their final destination, Astra. And with some time to kill, everybody sits down together to listen to Charles tell everybody the secret about Astra. Basically, he's picking up off where Paulina ended her story about the immigration. They opened about 10,000 wormholes, and...
Sorry.
the 10,000 wormholes were created connecting Earth to Astra, and they immediately began development of Astra, thus, like, you know, building everything up and whatnot. And it progressed pretty quickly since they, could basically transport all the equipment they needed to via the wormholes. And like only a few high-ranking officials and the king of Vixia knew about the wormhole technology at like current times. And Vixia is also isolated like it is because they protect this technology. They were like a company. We'll get to that in a second. Charles then reveals that this knowledge was kept from everybody for the sake of peace. In 2052, the governments finally told the people about the new world they were moving to. People became confused and eventually started fighting over land in the new world. And within 2 months, half the human population was wiped out.
I'm just trying to imagine like how you fight over land that you don't know what it even looks like. Like, well, we want more than you. It's like, but you don't even know how much there is,
you
or
start
like
launching
what it
nukes
looks like
at them to try to kill them, so they then can no longer claim
there
it.
You go.
That's
well, I know, but like, there's no way to be like, let's compromise about this, or like, we have a specific demand, and it's that we want this land, and like you have to give it to us.
They've already had people over there building stuff, so they probably have information on the land over there.
I'm just imagining they're like, we don't care. We just know we want more than you. And like,
yeah. So the survivors ended up regretting their actions and abolished nations as a concept. They also unified language and did away with religion and weapons.
That's very convenient.
I feel like this is so naive. It's so naive. Like, it doesn't matter. To me, like, it doesn't matter if there's like 3 people left on Earth with a bunch of sticks. This shit isn't happening. You are not getting people to abolish their culture, their language, or give up weapons. It doesn't matter what happens.
Even in Star Trek, they have phasers.
They're
like,
not
come
doing
on.
it.
Like, this is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Even the abolish of literally half the human population.
Well, I mean,
you don't think people were just like shocked enough to
No,
like, fuck?
I really don't think people would be that upset. Like, people are some sick sons of bitches. If half the people on the planet died tomorrow, we'd all be like, well, that sucked, and we're sad about it, but let's keep fighting each other, because now we have reasons to be sad about it. Like, that's what would happen.
So, a company called Vixia. Vix was behind the technology that made the wormholes and tasked themselves on getting rid of it from the new world. This also allowed them to create the royal quarters in Vixia, its own little isolated nation. They destroyed all the wormhole devices except for the one Charles used.
I thought he had 2. Yeah.
Yeah,
he did, because they did the stupid thing where they're like, oh, you thought I had one, but I actually had 2, and it was in my other hand.
Yeah, then in this episode, they said they destroyed them all except for one. So, whatever. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And without the wormhole technology, it would be really hard to explain the migration. So that's why they kind of made up the new history.
And then they were like, hey, everyone, be cool. This is what it is, okay? Never talk about the real history. Yeah. And everyone's like, okay, we agree with
this.
It
was all for the sake of peace. All right, let me get past this little time mind fuckaroo.
We don't get to go past this without... Okay, so this
I come right back to this. Don't worry, Kat. So the migration was finished on July 5th, 2057. That doesn't make any sense to them because it's only 2063, and they're like, we're like fucking 17. What the fuck? That's not enough time. Turns out the world government rolled back the history 100 years. They had been taught that the world government was created in 1963 after the very destructive World War III. So that was a prefabricated war and just made up to cover up the immigration. So that sells a little bit. I can buy into that one. Also, only a handful of people are even left alive today who would even remember.
Yeah, but like that assumes that they never told anyone.
Sure,
like they never told their kids about it.
Yeah. So I guess we just have to assume that like the generation just never told.
Goddamn baby boomers.
No, nobody is okay. So like this to me is the same problem that Attack on Titan had, where they're like, we want to reveal that everything's been a lie, but like, how do we explain that nobody knew that it was a lie?
Yeah, they have a convenient way to explain that. Here they don't.
Yeah.
But it was not believable even then. You have to admit, because we criticized the shit out of that. We're like, I don't think that's like feasible to wipe everyone's memory.
It was only because they are like all descendants of that same tribe, and like the Titan has that power to control those specific people's memories.
But you remember that
you
we
pick
picked
at it.
it.
This
Like,
one is like a gaping hole.
Yeah.
Like it's like this.
So this even is worse than that. This is like we're not even making some excuse up. We're not going to try to make up a reason why. We're just going to say that every single person on the face of this planet was like, we're not going to talk about this because it's for the greater good. And that's not realistic at all. Like, no.
Yeah. So you just kind of got to go with it. But to lighten the mood, we find out Polina has been asleep for 112 years now. And Funi's like, oh, that makes you 140 years old. And she's like, oh my God, and faints. That wasn't bad. That was a good joke.
It was cute.
But now they are faced with the dilemma of what to do when they get back to Astra. Not only do they need to arrive and not alert their originals that they are there, they also need to worry about the world government since they have knowledge of the wormholes in history. They decide to get their story to the press by getting into contact with a Lieutenant Grace that Olger knows because his brother worked with him or something. They don't know his number, so they can't get a hold of him. But Ares is like, I can send my mom a message, and she can get in touch with him and let him know. Because once they're close enough to the planet, then they can send the messages and they'll pick them up. And then Zach asks Charles who's going to be the next king of Vixia now that the current king can't rejuvenate. Charles says it will be somebody from the royal extended family, and he also says they are probably the one behind Sierra's assassination. And Augur also offers his help in investigating since he wants to become a journalist. We then jump to there's like a scene of like them arriving at the planet, and there's like 5 fucking space destroyers there to meet them or something like that, and then it jumps away. It's just to add to just like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Then we go to the king of Vixia meeting with another man named Mark. Mark has some inner monologue about this must be when he finally gets to be king. And like, he's like, and I killed Sierra. And you're just like, okay, well, that got solved quickly. But before the king can say anything, the police show up to arrest the king for attempted murder. Through the message and all the pictures they sent to Ares' mom, they were able to confirm that they are truly the Lost Camp team. They're greeted, like I already said, they're greeted in space by 5 ships from the world government. After there's like a tense couple moments where like they're trying to get in touch with the ship and they can't get anything. And after finally getting into contact, they inform that all the originals have been arrested, and they're like, well, welcome home. And they're like, yay. So they stand in a circle and they all talk about their favorite memory from the entire trip. They're also very, very thankful for Kanata being the leader that they know they needed. Thanks for literally giving an arm for us.
They're all his right hand man.
Isn't this the part where they have like the weird thing about how they talk about how Kanata's arm has touched us all or something?
Yep.
And I'm like, do you mean sexually or?
Well, like they show multiple scenes where like at one point, like when he rescues Funi and they're being lowered down, he has her in her right arm. There was another 2 at least. What were those? Oh, when he first rescued Ares from space, he had her held in his right arm there. And there was like a third one. I don't remember now. It was.
I mean, at least I didn't say Kanata's arm is inside all of us.
I just remember watching this and go, I'm not going to talk about any of this because it's pointless. We've seen it and talked about it already. The media reports that the adults in the illegal cloning have all been accounted for, 7 of them. They also do an interview with everybody. And after the interview, Kanata asks the lieutenant what will happen with their ship since it's a historic artifact. I guess it's going to go to a museum. A museum already called about it. And I was like, no, that makes sense. It's a 100-year-old ship.
Don't you think they'd like consult with them?
Well, they don't technically own it.
But nobody technically owns it. And they're in it. And possession is 9/10 of the law.
You need to get a lawyer on here. Because I cannot answer that for you. Hey, my stepbrother's a lawyer. I'm going to get him on here. So the government is finally convinced to tell the truth after like a bunch of convincing by Kanata and Chars.
Which is naive. I feel like the government would immediately silence these people.
Yeah, me too. Like, they'd be like, we're blowing them up in space. This isn't going anywhere. There's also like a bunch of people like rise up as like anti-government because of it, but apparently it all gets quieted a little when Kanata releases a book about the adventure. And everyone's like,
that's cool.
Oh, this is a nice distraction. I was like, okay. Q-Tear, who I'm never going to get tired of saying this goddamn name, also became a model. But like so did Charse, but Charse is like more popular. She's like,
that was actually funny. I laughed at that pretty hard.
She's like, really? Charse also becomes the king of Vixia and like makes a bunch of changes as like retonement or something, I guess. He first gives up all political power and he tears down the walls.
No.
The new cat just isn't used to podcasting yet. It's getting used to it.
It's tearing down the podcast. So he tears down the walls around the royal quarters and released all the information about the world in the wormholes for like historical reasons, they say. Then this last part, 7-year time jump. Olgar finally figures out exactly who killed his brother. It's exactly as he thought the entire time. Kanata buys back the old ship, which is dumb. You need to upgrade, bro. And goes off on more adventures with Zack and surprisingly Charse, who shows up and they're like, you're a king. How can you fucking be coming with us? Yunoha becomes a famous singer and she's like singing this song about their adventure at the end. And I'm just like, whatever, just fucking end this show. And then Ares and Kanata end up marrying and Kanata wants a girl. And Polina becomes a part-time teacher and is actually one of Funi's teachers who is now 17 and looks just like Quiterity or whatever you want to say her fucking name.
I like how the guys just get on a ship and like leave like their wives behind.
Well, they have a specific, like because like Q-Tear is like, I can't believe he would leave such a beautiful wife, but like they're going to check out locations for wormholes, which I'm suspecting is just like so they can colonize other planets.
Yeah.
They don't say why. That's just what they're doing.
It was interesting. Okay. Somebody in like the Reddit discussion thread brought this up. Like, if they had the wormhole technology to make like 10,000 wormholes, right, before the asteroid hit, why didn't they use the wormholes to like redirect the asteroid to a different part of space?
Yeah, that would have made more sense.
That's when they step in and go, oh, there's a size restriction.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the end of that.
Well, but this is like full of holes. Like it's a good plot, and I was surprised through a lot of it, but it has got a lot of.
And I was honestly impressed with like the mystery stuff.
Yeah, it was a fun,
that was cool.
stupid thrill ride. Like I don't hate the show or anything. It's dumb, but I had fun with it. Yeah.
I did like how they've aged all.
Oh yeah, I liked the little epilogue at the end where we see like what they're all up to. Yeah, it worked pretty well.
Mm-hmm. They did a good job with it. A lot of anime do a terrible job with it,
though. Basically, they did leave out one person, and that was Luca, who was there, but you have no idea what's going on with
I think
him or her.
Olgar is kind of with her now, I think. I don't know. I got the sense of that. Yeah.
Well, they said Olgar stopped by last night to crash because he's always on the move, and it's like, so you guys... Should we call you guys Momo?
Yeah, they're basically the Momo and Nina of the show.
Going
100%. You're right.
You're like, you guys fucking? You not fucking? Just let us know.
Going
on? It seems like a pattern that
it does feel like Luca is taking more along the lines of the female role, especially when he's with Ares and Q-Tear at Yunoha's
they're definitely more like
female
presenting now than they were earlier in the series. So yeah, maybe they've. Like change their ideas about like who they are over time, which is cool. That's like an interesting development. So
yeah, I kind of want to go check out the end of the manga now and see how much they left out.
Yeah,
or not.
I mean, it feels like a very full adaptation, even if it's like big exposition dump near the end here. But I think they covered everything. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, all right, and we covered everything for the first half of this episode. Which is almost the length of the full episode. So let's take a break, and we'll be right back.
Thank God.
All right, guys. We'll see you in a minute.
And here's another tasty morsel from the Trash Pandas Watch Anime podcast.
Some fan service.
Yeah. I mean, it worked pretty well in Dragon Ball. Do you remember those scenes with Bulma?
Bulma was running around in a bunny outfit for the longest time.
I know. Akira Toriyama.
We can get the Dragon Balls, and then we can make our wish. Bulma's panties.
Did Oolong wish for Bulma's panties, or did you just wish for a pair of panties?
I think it was just a pair of panties. I'm sure it's different in the Japanese than it is in the English dub. But yeah, he just wished for panties. They're probably used.
As always, you can find us on Facebook and on Twitter at Trash Panda Anime. You can find us on our website, tpwapodcast.com. You can also find us on assorted sites like SoundCloud, Stitcher, and iTunes.
Hey, do you like wrestling?
Whether it be in a bar, an arena, some weird place in Asia, or in a stadium?
Or the occasional penis plex?
Well, if any of these things might tickle your fancy, anywhere in between, from penises to wrestling, you can come and check out our podcast.
Our podcast name is Smack It Down. We talk all things WWE, New Japan, anything else in between.
I'm Jay Silver.
I'm Corey Gold.
And we look forward to you joining us.
Happy Rusev Day.
Happy Rusev Day indeed.
We made it back. We're all still alive. Cat hasn't murdered a cat.
We made it back. Okay. Dr. Stone, episode 12, the mid-season finale. Buddies, back to back.
More backs?
Baby got back.
Well, we started off by talking about backs. We're back.
Ginro gets a real kick out of teasing Kinro over the fact that Senku decided to make a new silver spear before making a gold one. But it turns out that Senku did this because they need this silver spear to use as a sensor for a maximum danger expedition.
This is the worst decision ever, by the way. Give the idiot a spear that may kill him.
What do you mean?
At any moment.
You give the
And
coward
it almost
the spear?
does.
Yeah. Yeah, it really does. He's like, okay, if the tip of this spear turns black, you're going to be dead within seconds. And so Ginro's horrified. He reluctantly leads the group upstream from that hot springs area. And they find this low impression that has a spring in it. It just dips down. And they start going down. They keep describing the water as emerald green. And I'm like, yo, that looks blue to me, bro. Did it look green to you guys? I don't know. It looked pretty blue. I don't know.
I have to.
Maybe I'm just nitpicking. I don't know. It's not that.
Oh no, you do that. I'm gonna see if I can queue it up and check it out.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm colorblind. Apparently, poison gases like hydrogen sulfide and sulfur dioxide settle into dips in the geography like this one because they are heavier than air, so they settle down. And so silver reacts with hydrogen sulfide and turns black. So that's why the spear is their sensor. And so Ginro almost walks straight into a pocket of poisonous gas because he's imagining this beautiful fairy of the spring when he sees it. And Kohaku has to pull him back right before he dies. But some nearby crows from Demon Slayer are not so lucky and they plunge dead into the water. And they start fucking melting. And also the fairy girl turns into this evil witch. And the crows are just melting in the bubbling acid. And yeah, Senku explains this is sulfuric acid that they've stumbled upon. It's not just any water or anything. And they're going to need it to procure the antibiotics for Ruri. As well as to advance chemistry just generally, because you need sulfuric acid.
So what color
Kohaku's
did you say this lake was to you?
So they say it's emerald green, and I'm like, that's blue.
It's
maybe it's turquoise.
A teal blue.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a little bit tinged green.
It's mainly blue, but a little bit of green to it. Yeah.
There's a tinge of green. Okay.
You're not crazy.
Cool. That's good to know. Thank God.
Yeah, but you're comparing it to me, so I think that makes it null and void.
I still feel better. Kohaku wants to try and make a run for it and just gather some sulfuric acid, but Senku's like, no. He tells him the story of these researchers who were studying an area like this, and one of the leaders on the expedition just knelt to tie his shoelace, and he just instantly died. Because there was a floating pocket of hydrogen sulfide at his head height when he knelt down. So like everybody else was like walking above and were fine, but like he who knelt down like just got it all. And I was like looking into this, like if there was a specific incident they were referring to, and I couldn't find anything, but like the Wikipedia page for hydrogen sulfide does list like a bunch of incidents, like even ones like there was like 2 people driving in like a Porsche Cayenne on a highway in Florida, and I guess their battery started leaking hydrogen sulfide and just killed both of them. And that made me really sad, both for those people, but also because I really like that car.
Shit.
It's like, no, Porsche Cayenne, no. I like you. So that's not great. To overcome this obstacle, Senku tells them they need to make gas masks. But he's not sure how effective they'll be. And so he gets into this big argument with Chrome.
You know, gas masks had to be super airtight on your face.
Yeah.
That's why, like, nobody in the armies, when, like, they first came out of them, could have beards or mustaches or anything like that.
Oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, you can't have anything getting through. Like, that defeats the whole point.
They have to be super, super airtight.
Yeah. That must be so uncomfortable. Ugh.
Yeah.
Like, I feel bad. Like, all those people who were, like, in, like, Operation Iraqi Freedom, who had, like, gas masks and, like, the 100-degree fucking desert storm invasion. Like, that sucks. He wants... Desert Storm is different from Iraqi Freedom, by the way. I understand. For military people who are listening. Anyway, so, yeah. To overcome this obstacle, they need to make gas masks, but, like, Senku's like, this is going to be dangerous no matter what. So he tells Chrome, I want you to stay behind. I'm going to pass on all my scientific knowledge to you in case something goes wrong. And Chrome's like, no, I'm not going to participate in the plan that would make it okay for my friend to die.
How did he plan on passing all the information to him? There's like...
I don't know.
It would take the rest of their lives. The rest of their lives. From what Stone knows? I mean, come on.
It's true. Like, yeah, it seems ridiculous. I don't know. Maybe you could say like, oh, maybe he had started writing stuff down like when he first thought, but he didn't.
No, he'd have to be writing so much fucking down. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, it's stupid. So, yeah, Chrome is eventually able to convince Senku that the most logical way to handle the situation is not for Senku to go alone, but actually for Chrome to tag team with him because, like, yes, they could both die. There's a possibility, but there's also a possibility that, like, Senku could be in, like, just, you know, a life-threatening situation and need someone to help him. And if he doesn't have him, then, like, he has a lower chance of survival. And so Senku's, like, won over by that, like, logic, at least. So the entire situation reminds Kohaku, who's like listening to them talk about it, that her sister Ruri's role as a priestess is to pass on the 100 tales of their village, like all of their knowledge. And Kohaku had refused to become the next priestess because she also, like Chrome, didn't want to make it okay for her sister to die. And so she tells Chrome, like, you know, we're kind of alike. And she wishes he had been blessed with the ability to fight, because she'd be so happy if he was the one to marry Ruri and everybody else would be happy. But, like, if their plan goes as it is, like, Kinro or Ginro are going to be probably the ones who take Ruri. And so she's like, well, would you accept me as your wife? And I was like, that's random. And Chrome is like, no, you're a gorilla. So gets punched for that, as he should. I thought that was kind of weird, though, for her to just, like, offer that. It's like, I got no sense that Kohaku, like, liked Chrome before this point. It was kind of weird, but yeah, she offers.
Well, I think she sees, like, the honor and how he is so in his pursuit to make her sister be better.
Yeah.
And he's never given up and he's always been there. And I think she's just, like, really like, wow, that is really awesome. That actually makes you attractive, I guess, a little bit.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's true. So Senku starts the process of making the gas masks. He, like, steam roasts bamboo and adds potassium carbonate, which he makes from ash, to that. And basically makes an activated carbon, like, filter that will, like, neutralize and stop the poison gas. And so they want Ginro to go with them again to, like, help out. But he thinks the spear is, like, cursed now because it's turned black, and he doesn't want to die. And Senko's like, no, you can just like rub the tip of this spear with like an alkaline base and like all of the sludge will come right off of it. And so they have like a brand new silver sensor spear again. But they leave Ginro behind because he's the coward. But yeah, Chrome is surprised when Senku, like they get to the spring again, and then he just like starts jogging down towards the water. And Senku explains that they have like limited time before their masks become ineffective, so they can't just like freak out and wait around. They have to go or they'll die. And Chrome was about to say he doesn't understand how Senku is being so ballsy, but then he sees that Senku's hands are like trembling and realizes he's more afraid than he's letting on, and they both get kind of serious about it and go ahead. Back at the camp, Ginro is feeling bad for himself, but old man Kiseki reassures him that fear is the key to a long life and no one is immune from it. And so, not even Senku and Chrome, basically, is what he's saying. And so, he thinks about how scary it must be for Kinro to fight Magma with his bad eyesight, and also how Kohaku is just like hellbent on saving Ruri. And it just so happens that Kiseki made another gas mask, and Ginro takes it and heads off towards the others. And luckily, he gets there just in time because things go wrong. Senku's gas mask tube starts like melting, and he patches it, but then Chrome was like rushing towards him. And he like steps on some like loose rocks and falls like straight towards the pool of sulfuric acid. And luckily, Ginro gets there just in time. He like shoves his spear towards Chrome, who grabs onto it, and like he barely is able to hold on to him, but he starts breathing really heavily, like so much so that like the mask will fail if he keeps breathing so hard. And like Senku's like yelling at him to calm down and like control his emotions, control his fear. And yeah, Chrome somehow has the wits to tell Ginro to like think both with your heart and with your brain, and 'cause that's the only way us humans can overcome nature. And so Ginro accepts that, and he's like able to toss Chrome ashore, and the sulfuric acid fairy is defeated, and they collect their acid, and they have sulfuric acid now. And that's the whole episode. It was just like a little episode about overcoming fear and stuff.
Honestly, this episode was very underwhelming for me.
Yeah.
Because
I agree.
I was like, I know they're not going to die, so there's no stakes involved. So like, this is a very boring episode. I know they're going to get the gas they need, and they're going to go back home, and everything's going to be fucking peachy. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it.
Pretty much. It was really mostly about developing the relationship between Kohaku and Chrome, and between like Ginro and potentially the rest of the people. Yeah, and that's basically it. And I mean, like there wasn't even that much cool science stuff. You could say like just like using the silver as a sensor is cool, but that's about it. So
well, like the portrayal of the gas in the lake was kind of cool, but
yeah, that's true. It was also like the gas mask setup they had was weird because it was like a long tube to like a sort of like a rebreather thing that they had on their backs, almost like a scuba diver's tank, like an oxygen tank. That was kind of interesting, but a weird design, but kind of cool. Mm-hmm. But yeah, that was really it. Simple episode. Should we move on?
Absolutely.
Vinland Saga, episode 12, The Land on the Far Bank. So, Askeladd's men come across a ferryman who's like sitting on the dock fishing. And Askeladd gives this guy a message to deliver to the opposite shore to anyone who has the authority to receive it. Meanwhile, the men stop on a nearby hill, and a man known as the Ear listens to, you do this in like every like old military anime where like a guy will put his head to the ground and be like, oh, the enemy troops are like 3 miles behind us. And so that's what they do here. And they're like, Thorkel's men have been chasing after them, and they hear like, they have like 500 foot soldiers and horses like marching right on their tails, and they're less than a day's distance away, but they'll probably catch up with them in a few days given their current like rate. So just then, the Ear hears some horses on a nearby hill who are likely English scouts. And Ragnar says like, oh, we gotta attack now. And Askeladd's like, no, there's no point. We don't currently stand a chance against them. We don't have enough people. Mm-hmm. But the message he sent was for reinforcements. And the guys are like, reinforcements? What? Because they're on like the east bank of the River Severn in western England. And they're like, the men are talking like, we're so deep in enemy territory. The nearest Danish outpost is 2 weeks away. Like, what reinforcements? And they've been marching so much, all these Vikings are like, I wish we had a boat. My feet hurt. And so as the men sleep, Bjorn asks Askeladd, like, what's on your mind? And why have you been acting so strangely ever since you saw Prince Canut's face? And Askeladd says that he's lived among, like, wicked guys for, like, 40 years. He actually says 2 score. I always have to look up what score means, like, even though we have, like, the famous Abraham Lincoln for, like, 4 score. Like,
yeah,
like, I still have to always look it up. I never remember that it's 20 years. And yeah, so he's been around wicked men for 40 years. He's usually able to read people just by looking at their face, and Canute was no different. And then when he looked at him, apparently he thought to himself, that's not the face of a king. Mm-hmm. And then Bjorn agrees that it is quite a girlish face, but the prince is young. And Askeladd agrees. He's like, oh yeah, he's just a lad, and wakes his men up to keep moving. And then Bjorn is like, I don't know, something was lost in translation here, because Bjorn is surprised by what Askeladd said. Like, maybe Askeladd recognizes something about Canute that we don't know yet. And Bjorn's just like kind of like suspicious. It was a little weird moment. I don't know if you guys caught that, but I'm not sure what was happening there. I'm sure we'll find out eventually, but like, the only thing I can think of is that Askeladd believes that Canute is not a boy? Maybe? I don't know. Or something else, but I'm not really sure what's going on there. The marching gets tougher because it's raining and the mud builds up, and they're trudging through this foggy forest, and they're all, like, ridiculously tired. And the ear warns them, like, Thorkel's men are just behind us, we need to hurry. And Askeladd's like, don't worry, we're at the meeting point. They, like, emerge from the forest, and they see these, like, Roman ruins on a hill. And there's 2 men standing up there ominously. And apparently these are the reinforcements. I also like, as they, like, walk up to them, like, the music, like, there's just tubas that are, like, blasting these big low notes to kind of accentuate, like, how badass these guys are.
Yeah.
And Askeladd kneels before one of them and says, it's an honor to be greeted by the commander himself. And the commander's like, oh, it's been a long time. And then out of, like, the mist behind the ruins, like, 3 boats emerge. And so we cut at this point, and Thorkel, in his, like, with his guys, finds out that Askeladd's men were ferried across the river by these, like, 3 ships. And his men couldn't really identify the ships, but they're not Viking because they don't have dragon heads and they're more flat-bottomed.
Do they ever say exactly what they are?
Well, we find out that these are Welsh ships
Okay.
from a specific kingdom or principality of Wales, at least, that is across the river in this part of Western England. And so, like, the narrator tells us about Wales and how it's, like, more mountainous than England. It doesn't have a lot of land for agriculture. And after the Roman Empire fell, Wales was never really unified into, like, a single country. It was just divided into small kingdoms who kind of been warring with each other. And one of those principalities is called Morganwg. Sorry to Welsh people, I'm doing my best. And it's known as Glamorgan today also. And, like, they are the ones who have, like, taken Askeladd in and helped him out. Ragnar is very pleased and, like, wants to use these, like, 3 boats to circle around to, like, Gainsborough, which is, like, their final destination. But Askeladd's like, we can't do that. Like, this country, like, these 3 boats are, like, their only defense, like, from sea attack. Like, we can't just take them. So he's like, we're going to march inland through Wales to get to Gainsborough, and it'll be better because we at least have some allies here, unlike in England.
I don't think they're arguing it'll be better. He's just basically like, we can only ask so much of these people.
Yeah, basically.
And it's interesting because they're like, what? We can't just demand everything that we demand?
Yeah. Oh, and also, Prince Canute finally gets a line. He sees a low-flying falcon, and he asks Ragnar to catch it. That's like the first time we hear Canute talk. He's basically just ignored, though, because, like, Ragnar just continues to talk with Askeladd, and, like, to reassure Ragnar, Askeladd's like, if you're so worried about him, I'll assign Thorfinn to personally guard Canute. And so, like, pissed off, Thorfinn, like, stares daggers at Canute, who, like, shyly runs and hides behind Ragnar. And Askeladd's like, I'll make it worth your while. Like, we'll have your duel in Gainsborough when we make it back. Which is weird, because I thought he had to defeat Thorkel to get his next duel, but apparently the deal has changed. So
they made a new deal, basically.
They made a new deal. Askeladd finally introduces the commander who he met with. His name is Captain Gratianus of like the Morganug military. He looks like very stereotypically Roman. And like, I guess that makes sense because like the Roman Empire had been here a couple like 100 years ago. And it is like a Roman British like descent in Wales at this point in time. So yeah, like when he sees Canute, he says there's no strength in his eyes. And the only reason for them to help the Danish prince pass their land is to ensure like a future non-aggression pact with the Danes. Otherwise, there's no point to this whatsoever. And he needs to believe in their leader's word if he's going to like accept this. And so Gratianus asks Canute to promise him that they'll get this non-aggression pact. And Canute tugs on Ragnar's tunic and like whispers something in Ragnar's ear. And Ragnar's like, well, if you give us the 3 ships, and Gratianus just like interrupts him and says, I'm not talking to you, bitch. I'm talking to the prince. Mm-hmm. And Canute just refuses to respond. And the captain's like, I'll return with some documents later, and you can either sign them or not.
And like literally just hides behind the guy.
Yeah.
Like, what the fuck? This is your future king? Fuck this guy.
It's not a good situation, yeah. The men start marching through the mountain passes of Wales, and they're thinking about like the reward they'll get for saving Kingsfane's son, and they all basically want gold, most of all. But they also wish they had slave girls, because slave girls are so much fun, and the king supposedly has a bunch of them. And they asked that drunken friar, Willibald, like who's been to the king's court before, like what it's like. And he admits like, oh, there are many slave women there, but I have no interests in riches or in women. And they're like, oh, what do you want then? Like, what else is there? He's like, oh, I desire love. And the men are like, the hell is that?
It's so interesting that like they have no conception of like love. This is like a new word to me.
Yeah, it's cool. Like, one of the Vikings is like, oh, it's some magical spell the Christians talk about. And most of the men just like shrug the friar off when he says that like love is what gives silver and gold its worth, and they're like, oh, he's just trying to be deep. He's talking nonsense. But like at least one of the Viking soldiers is like, I'd like to hear you talk more about this love stuff. It's interesting. So maybe he has like a convert there. We'll see. They continue marching north and are about to enter the kingdom of Breikenjag, I think. I have no idea. It's so hard to pronounce Welsh words.
Yeah, these are all Norse words or whatever.
Yeah. Gratianus has sent word ahead to secure passage for them, and he explains he's helping the Danes because it serves the Welsh people who have been like falling victim to English raids for a really long time. So that's another reason he's helping them out. And so Askeladd tries to talk Canute up, saying like he's young, he's got room to grow. He actually thinks about tours and says that like the more fascinating the man, the more unpredictable his actions are. And so maybe Canute is the type of leader they need, according to Askeladd, which is a weird coming from him. I feel like he thinks that Canute's unpredictability is more like the type of leader that he could use to his own benefit, maybe. But yeah, we'll see. Askeladd asks Gratianus if he still believes in the return of Artorius, King Arthur, from Avalon in the west, who is prophesied to like return to Britannia and like restore it to its former glory. And before he can answer, the ear warns Askeladd that there are men ahead. And there's 2 men on the road pretending to be envoys from this like principality that they're moving up to. But they're really just a distraction because they're getting ambushed by archers. And we see that he's still on like the other side of the river, so this is not him. And we also see a throne room with this like fat king surrounded by soldiers cloaked in white. And I don't know if that was like, I don't know who that was. I don't know if that was like an English king or a Welsh king or if it was like Jomsvikings. I was very confused at that part because I don't remember seeing that guy before. So I think that's just like a flash forward to like what we're going to see soon. And then we also see a much older Leif Erikson from the beginning of the series at the docks. And he sees like a young slave that looks a lot like Thorfinn, which just reminds us that he's still looking for Thorfinn. So this was all like a montage of like, oh, this is what's coming up in the next arc of the series, I guess. But yeah, Askeladd's men are surrounded by archers, and Thorfinn like looks up at the hills and he kind of grunts at them, and he's like, "This ain't shit. I'll take care of this." And that's where the episode ends. So yeah, it's interesting. I don't know. I thought it was like a little weird. I don't think this series took like a break or anything. So I was interested in why they did that, like flash forward, or like that like little montage of like this is what's coming up next on Vinland Saga. Kind of felt a little bit out of place, but yeah, it's interesting going through Wales, and I wonder what Thorkel is going to do, if he's just going to meet them at the other end of Wales, or if he's going to try and fight his way in or something.
Interesting piece of information. I was reading a totally different article, and like, you remember when Bjorn first ate that mushroom in that first battle? That was a legit thing.
Oh, like berserker mushrooms?
They called them. They called them berserkers. Like that literally happened. They'd eat mushrooms and then they just go fucking crazy on the battlefield.
Yeah, they would just get high on shrooms and go nuts. Like that's what they did.
I thought that was just like really cool. I was like, that's like at the time I didn't even like really question it. I didn't think either way. But then when I was reading this other article, I was like, oh, that means that thing I saw in Vinland Saga was like, somebody did the research. Holy shit.
No, they definitely did research for this show. Like it shows. Like it feels authentic for most of it.
Yeah, but the mushroom one was just kind of like a throwaway for me. I didn't really think anything of it.
No, it's crazy shit back then.
Yeah.
Back then.
What's your guys' take on Canute? Like, what do you I still can't get a read on him.
I don't have any read on this person.
He doesn't talk at all, and it makes it when he did talk, it was just like, I want that
the
hawk
falcon,
or something. It made me
me feel, like, so is he just like a child?
Like he just has grasp of reality, like, because he's in this very precarious situation where he may die. Like he has this like whole thing ahead of him, but what he's thinking about is, I want this thing, give me shiny toy.
Yeah. I kind of wonder if he has a mental disability.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, it's possible. Like, that's how it's sort of being portrayed at the moment. Like, it's either that or he is very much playing the fool for some reason. But I don't know. That would be a big twist.
Wow, if he's playing the fool, he is an amazing fucking actor. That's like ridiculous level.
Yeah, no, I think he's probably not. I think he's probably just a little... he's probably been raised in a way that he's not familiar with actually having to worry about things.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
We got Carole Tuesday.
One last episode of Carole Tuesday. It's time for the 7-minute miracle.
Sad to see it end. Episode 24, a change is going to come.
Oh, yes, it is.
So Tao finally shows up to Angela's hospital room, and Angela is very happy to see him, but he comes bearing news and drops this bomb on her. 25 years ago, Professor Zeman created a designer baby and was sent to jail for 5 years. Once he was out, he created another designer baby and is still in prison to this day. Turns out, Tao was the first designer baby, and Angela was the second.
So it turns out that they migrated to Mars 100 years ago, and they turned back time, and actually they're clones. No, sorry. That's another show.
Literally, Angela doesn't actually have a mother and father. So then, it's a pretty big hit on her.
But she does have this closer tie with Tao, though, now, because he went through this as well.
Because now you're like, all right, it feels more like they're brother and sister.
Yeah.
Really, is what you get from it. Mm-hmm. And Tao says he has to go back into hiding because he released all the information on Swartz and all his bad deals, and he's going to come after him, so he has to leave. Angela kind of basically begs him to take her with him. She's like, I'm all alone, you're all I have. And he's like, I'm not taking you. And also,
have you ever seen the movie Spaceballs, by the way, Leo? Like the parody Star Wars movie?
Yes.
Yeah. You know how they, instead of the Force, they say like the Schwartz is strong?
Yeah.
So when I see Schwartz's name, I just can't think of that stupid movie. The Schwartz is strong.
Okay. Tao also tells Angela, I'm not taking you with you because it is time for you to sing your own song for yourself, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And Kyle and Spencer are meeting on a bridge, and Kyle makes the deal that Spencer can show his mother the information they have gathered just before the song airs. But if she is willing to take responsibility, Kyle's to let him know right away. And if he doesn't hear from him, he will leak the information anyways.
Yep.
So that's kind of cool. But then Kyle suddenly notices that there's a person walking towards them from both sides of the bridge. He yells something loudly about Jerry and sees the two of them react like they reach up and touch their ear pieces. And he's like, shit. So he basically just grabs Spencer's arm and leaps from the bridge with him. Like, we gotta get the fuck out of here. They're here to kill us.
And then like those two people like run to the center of the bridge and are like, shit.
I don't want to get wet.
We're not jumping.
We're not jumping.
Don't pay us enough.
The girls finish the song and like they're excited about it, and they decide to go like for a run to burn off the energy. And like on the way out, they talk to the landlord who actually fucking says words for once. Mm-hmm. And he tells Carole not to worry about him if she wants to move out, you know, since she's getting bigger or whatnot and moving on. And she's like, no, I love it here. I don't think I'm going anywhere. He then asks Tuesday, he's like, I thank you for always being by Carole's side. So that's pretty funny. Then,
that's nice.
Yeah. Then there's the scene of like Schwartz getting arrested by the MFA, which is the Mars Federal. What do we think it is?
Oh, wait. It was like, oh, shit. I can't remember.
Yeah. He's getting arrested on like 47 charges, and he's like fucking sweating profusely. He's like, I'm friends with the head of the MFA. And they're like, well, we have all this information on you. And he's like, shit. Then we go to Roddy, who tells Gus they have the venue and security all wrapped up for the concert. Surprisingly, it's all being done by volunteers, which is pretty cool. They also see that the girls' first album is done, but they're going to hold off until the release of the concert is over, which is smart, I would say. And the girls wait on everybody they invited to arrive to this concert. Annie and Maeve show up first to do the hair and makeup, which is Annie is Gus's. I think it's Annie, Gus's old wife or whatever. And then Crystal's like next to shows up and she tells the girls that they are the light in the dark, and they're just like, whoa, all about it and stuff. So that's pretty cool. And Crystal's very super impressed by their song. She's like, this is amazing. This is the world, whatever. And then next is just everybody else they invited. Lonesome Clarence, the girl from Skip's band, representing him because he is in jail. I don't remember her name.
I don't know if they mentioned her name ever.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I don't think they
and then like Peter and GGK, who are formed a duo group, and even when they show up, they're like, hey, we formed a duo group like you, woo! And then like even like Desmond shows up, and they're like, holy shit! And he's like,
holy shit, you're not dead?
GGK and like they're very different singing style. I don't know how they would form a duo.
I don't know how their duo would work either. It's weird.
Yeah, because I was like trying to imagine what kind of song they would sing together, right? And I couldn't imagine it.
Well, GGK's like so fucking out there, and like Piotr is like so serious about his and like all the dancing. Yeah,
his music was like so upbeat and poppy, and hers was like so slow and like wistful. It's such a weird match, but I don't know.
Yeah, and then when like Desmond shows up, he's like, "It wasn't my time to die." I was like, "Okay, buddy."
The girls brought him back,
and then eventually Angela does show up, and she tells them why she hated their singing. It's because it reminded her that you could actually have fun while singing,
and that like she used to have fun. Like
and
that
she used to be, but she didn't anymore.
Yeah,
and she's like, "But that's not the case anymore." And she's like, "I want to sing with you because it will be fun." So that's awesome. And Spencer finally gives Valerie the information showing that Jerry is 100% the one behind those bombings. And in like a shocking move, she calls Jerry and fires him and says she is resigning her candidacy and starting over from scratch. She also tells him she is glad she won't have to listen to his sarcastic voice anymore, and she is relieved she won't have to enforce policies she didn't agree with. So
okay,
she was kind of a good guy the whole time.
She was okay, yeah. This part felt a little bit like naive to me, though. I don't know. I mean, I guess there are some real politicians who would react this way, but also I felt like she had to have known what Jerry was doing, and like it feels weird that. I mean, she had an inkling all along.
Well, I felt like she warred with having to do what's right, what she wants, and then also winning the candidacy at the same time.
Yeah. But it's just like you were doing all these shitty policies that you didn't believe in just to like win the election.
It would have been
you
interesting.
were kind of a bad person already. Like,
it would have been interesting if like her goal was like, all right, I'll go with this for now to get the win, and then I'll change my policies once I'm in.
Yeah, but that's such a and that's a very politician. I was gonna say that's such a dishonest way to run, and I was like, well, duh.
Yeah, that's a very politician. Yeah.
That's like exactly what every politician has done ever.
Called it out.
So yeah, I don't know. I feel like she gets off like a little scot-free. Like I feel like there would be a huge scandal anyway. Like, and I guess there still will be, but after they enjoy this concert, but. Yeah, I don't know. That part for me felt like a little bit like light on the writing side. I don't know. A little bit too simple. But the concert is fun. So
yeah. So no better words than say the concert happens. It's amazing.
We are the world.
And yeah, and you just really need to go watch it yourself. There's no good way of saying it correctly and like giving it the credits due. It's just really good. And it turns out it's just a bunch of shots of like them singing and then everybody we've ever met reacting to the songs and watching them on their phones or on the TV or whatever. And like, even,
you know what the best part is, Leo, by the way?
Oh God.
It starts like exactly 7 minutes left in the episode. So they did not lie about the 7-minute miracle.
Oh, okay. That's awesome.
Yeah. It was like 7 minutes and 3 seconds left when like the music starts.
Yeah. And like even at one point during the concert, like a SWAT team like storms the place. And then, but like they get stopped and Gus is like, just listen to the song. They're just singing a song. Just listen to it. And that's just kind of how it ends.
Do you hear the people singing the song of angry men?
It was 100 times better than what Bcom just showed you.
Yeah, no, it wasn't like that. It was.
It was good.
I actually got a little bit emotional with it. It was really good. I love this fucking show though.
Yeah, I mean, like it's a little cheesy, but the whole show is a little bit cheesy, and like I think they pulled it off.
Saying the plot out loud makes it very cheesy to me, but when I was watching it, I did still like it a lot. So.
Yeah,
it was well done
I think,
cheese, at least.
I agree. And I think the series was going for, like, well, I'm going to talk about this in my, like, final wrap-up. But I think the series got caught up a little bit in between, like, being a show that showcases a bunch of different types of music artists. And then also trying to have this sort of, like, political narrative at the same time. And it didn't necessarily pull both of them off like incredibly well, but I was also still just super entertained the entire time. Yeah, like, so I just didn't care that much.
With that statement.
Yeah, like that's basically how I feel about it. Like I don't think it's like the best written show ever, but I was super entertained by it, and I had a lot of fun. Basically. All right. So. That is the end of our reviews for shows from summer 2019.
And that's the end of Carole Tuesday, which I'm really sad about.
Yeah,
I'm sad.
It's a little sad. It was a good show. Shows like that only come around once in a while, which is nice. Thank you, Shinichiro Watanabe, for making another one. But we watched a couple of shows outside of the podcast that I just wanted to comment on. I did finish The Demon Girl Next Door.
Did you really?
You know?
Yeah, you should be ashamed of that.
Why would you do that to yourself?
That's like that. You should never have admitted that. Like that should have been the thing you secreted away.
Kat, don't worry, I'm going to admit worse things in like several seconds.
God.
Like I have other stuff that I haven't written down here. So yeah, Demon Girl Next Door, it was fine. Like it was honestly never better than it was that first episode that I got really hyped up about though. And that was the disappointing thing for me. Like I think it was a fun, cute story.
The fact
but
you
like,
expected it to be better or the same is killing me.
sometimes you watch one good episode and you're like, come on, the series will make it back to that level at some point. I know, I believe.
Yeah, but then you
and
watch
it never
something like
does.
Astra and you're like not that intrigued, and the next thing you know, you're 6 episodes in and you're like, why am I sucked into this goddamn show?
Yeah, it's true. Like that's the thing with like Demon Girl Next Door is it just got so samey and it started just being repetitive. That even like the parts that were fun just felt like they were rehashes of like stuff they'd already done. It never really went anywhere interesting. They introduced a couple more characters. They were fine. They never added anything too interesting to the story. I watched 11 episodes of Fire Force before I couldn't take it anymore.
God damn. You couldn't even finish it.
I'm not watching anymore that show. It's bad.
I mean,
it's just
I
bad.
don't even think the action on it is bad. It's well animated. It's just, it seems to me that whenever I would try to watch an episode, and I think I watched episode like 6 or 7 of Fire Force, I would almost like glaze over and I'd be looking at the screen and things would be happening. And I'd be like, ooh, shiny objects are moving on the screen. But like, I wouldn't be following the plot. I couldn't follow the plot well. Like, and I'm not sure if that's because the plot is badly written or if it's because like something about the show is just like you can't engage to focus on
The
it.
plot is in the boobs. Come on.
Or maybe it's a little of both, but like to me it's not a followable narrative. Because I'm trying and it's not happening for me. So something is going on.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
It's not hooking me.
Yeah.
At all. And it's pissing me off at like left, right, and center. So like, yeah, like I can't deal with it. I got big ideas about, finally binging the Mom Isekai show.
Yeah.
And I got 5 episodes into it, and I just kept getting so pissed off at like how like everybody is such an asshole in that show, except for like the mom. But like, well, mostly like the boy.
But she just wants to fuck her son, so
and that's the thing. Like the show is like so made for like people who have like a fetish for their mom. Like that's what this show is made for. Like 100%. It's so fucking ridiculous. But then they try to do serious stuff where they have like other people's moms who have been like abusive or overbearing, and they try to like make a story out of that, and it's just like the problem is all of the characters have an IQ of like 72. So anything they say about any topic when they're trying to be serious just comes off as like super dumb because they're being super dumb the rest of the time. And so anything serious they try to say just comes off of like, please don't try to do this. This is the wrong show to try to say this message about like abusive parenting and how you should like, it's weird because like the second mom is the mom of this girl named Wise, who's one of the party members. And she's been like really horrible to her daughter. But the whole message was like, oh, but she's your mother and she's your only mother. So you have to be her daughter. You have to make up with her. And it's like, no, if your parent is that shitty to you, you can disown them. Like, it's unfortunate, but maybe that's the healthier thing to do in some situations. Like, I don't know. It was really stupid. I got pissed off at that. Here's the one, Kat, that you're going to love that I finished. You ready for this? What the fuck was this anime called? I'm already forgetting. The English name. I finished all 12 episodes of If It's For My Daughter, I'd Even Defeat a Demon Lord.
No! I got to episode like 4, I think. It's not even that I disliked it. It's just like other things were busy and I was just like, eh. But I don't think it's that bad.
It's actually not that bad. Like, there are certain parts of it that are, like, real sketch. But they end the show before, like, the time skip to where things get really sketchy. Kind of like Usagi Drop.
It's like an Usagi Drop knockoff in a way. Like, it's all just like, oh, look, she made this pot pie. How adorable. Everyone wants to buy the pot pie. It's like that.
For the most part, yeah.
Because they want her pot pie.
Well, but
but there's a lot of like, I want to be a good girl for Dale in the future. I want to grow up so I can be with Dale. There's a lot of that stuff later on in the series, and I'm like, oh, yeah. But she's really cute. It's a fun, cute little show, but like, it's nothing. I wouldn't like super like recommend it or anything. I don't think it's very good, but I did find my way through all of it, like watching with another friend. So I don't know. I guess I could say I finished it at least.
Poor friend.
I mean, he wanted to watch it too. I don't know. We just found like amusement in watching it, I guess. That was everything I finished. I still haven't finished a couple other shows that I mean to go through, like that Joshi Kosei show I mean to get to, and I still mean to get through the Nobunaga show, but I haven't gotten through it yet. So, yeah.
I did not get through anything else. I had a bunch of real life shit just like going on. So like it was rough to finish what we had. So Kat,
yeah, same with me. Like,
I watched Fruits Basket also, as well as all the things Bcom watched. I actually have continued to like it. It did have a break mid-season where they're like breaking or whatever after episode, I think 26 or something. And it's going to come back soon. So they're kind of going like out of season. So I guess it's good we didn't cover it because we would have run out of episodes mid-season.
It looks like they're going to start covering stuff that was not covered by the first series now. Yeah. Like they're getting to stuff that was never animated
and I
before.
don't really buy that they're taking their time and like took a little break mid-season or whatever. It just kind of sucks that means it won't follow the traditional seasonal route, but that's fine. Mm-hmm. It's still very good. I would rather them have the quality and take their time. So,
okay, cool.
Yeah, I would highly recommend.
Cool. All right.
Cool beans.
So it is time for final ratings on the shows we watched this season. Let's start off with how heavy are the dumbbells you lift? I guess I'll lead it off because that's how it is on the document for whatever reason. I thought the show was pretty enjoyable, but I do think it was overly reliant on a few of the same like running jokes. Like the girls can't get a fucking date. Hibiki is fat until that very last scene. Machio is so big, blah, blah, blah.
The manga keeps going with it, so it's way ahead.
So that was another thing I had to say is like, I usually don't like care about this, but like everybody is like way sexier looking in the manga. Like, and for like a kind of like sort of ecchi show like this, that's like a big concern. Like, I don't think their character designs like transitioned very well to the anime. Like they look fine, but in the manga they look like super hot. So I thought that was like a little bit of a downside.
I would agree. Yeah, they're not as quite as sexy as they are in the manga.
Yeah. But I still I enjoyed like having a workout anime, like just the educational side of that, like talking about it from week to week was fun, and like the different exercises. So I thought this was slightly above average. I gave it a 6 out of 10. I think it was a good show. Fine show.
Yeah, I gave it a 6.5. I think this show like started out very strong, and I probably would have given it like a 7 or 7.5. But then it started to have a lot of filler mid-season. That was just like weak sauce filler, kind of like things that didn't even matter that much, like the talent show and stuff like that, where I'm just like, this is not.
That's the whole manga. There's no like goal.
See, it would have been better if they had stuck to like the exercises each week, because I feel like there's so many exercises in like fitness, they wouldn't have run out.
Yeah, or if they had like focused on like each person was exercising for a specific goal that they wanted to accomplish more so than just like, I want to get a guy, like Ayaka with her volleyball team, like stuff that she needs to work on to be better for her volleyball club and stuff like that.
Yeah, because fitness is just like cooking. Like there's no end of it. There's always something else to teach or to talk about, or like, so really they could have just kept going with that. They didn't need this sideshow bullshit. And I guess maybe this is a criticism of just the manga too, because you're saying it's the same in the manga.
Yeah.
I just found it unnecessary. I don't know. They had a great idea, and they just sort of started throwing other things in there. And I mean, I can handle like a little bit, like, oh, look at this cute beach thing that we did, but like, it just got a little annoying and cluttery after a while,
Sure. Yeah.
Okay.
So I don't know. I still really admire that the uniqueness of it, and I loved the exercises that they showed us sometimes. I'd be like, oh, I've never even heard of that. That's cool. So I still gave it a 6.5, but I was like, oh, you could have been better, and you decided to be worse. So
I'd also say like the ecchi stuff never got like super like out of taste or anything. I thought it was fine.
Yeah,
like
I
throughout.
will say that the ecchi was not offensive in any way.
Yeah, I will say there was really relatively almost no like boob jiggle, which is a big thing of ecchi.
Not too much, yeah. Like compared to that fucking like mom isekai show, there's boob jiggle all over. Oh my god!
So I gave this show a 6.5, also same as Kat. I thought it was just a really fun, informative show. I love all the girl characters; they're amazing, and I really just helped motivate people to take better care of themselves and work out a little bit. Really, that's it.
Yeah.
All right, Kat, tell us about O Maidens. What do you think?
So the character development of O Maidens is really good. Like in it, she fleshes out these characters really well. She has these really good moments with the characters where you see them evolving a lot. They have depth to them. That part is really good. But then she puts them in these corny situations, and the like the outcome of those situations is not realistic. It's always like naive, kind of. So I'd say like parts of what she does are really good, and then parts of it she kind of ruins it with the rest of it in a way, you know. I almost gave it a 6.5, but you don't see very many shows that have that good character development. So I wanted to give her something for that. You know, and there were parts of the show that I really did like a lot. So I gave it a 7, but it's like not an enthusiastic 7.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I gave it a 7 out of 10 also. I had this more of an 8 throughout the entire season. But at the end, you all know I felt like I stumbled there. The sudden hostage situation came out of nowhere, and the colors thing felt so forced and it fit in the show. I did like how the relationships ended up, and I really thought the nice mix-up of comedy and romance during the show helped it very well. This show is really possibly one of the most solid 7s I felt like I've ever given. I definitely couldn't downgrade it to a 6.5, and I don't think it's worthy enough to even get an 8 range. So that's why it gets a 7.
Yeah, I was like a little generous with this show, I think, because I think I'm going to like look back on it kind of fondly, because I had so much fun with this show. Like, I totally agree with Kat that like some of the writing situations here feel forced, and like the interactions between the characters feel like really naive. But like I guess most of my reservations really came with like Nina's relationship with that like dance or theater instructor guy, Saigusa. Like that was the weirdest part of this series to me. Like even the stuff with Hitaha and Yamagishi, I was like, I get this. Like girl has a crush on her teacher, wants to prove that like she's like an adult. Like this makes sense to me, and like the way that played out was like almost like touching in a way, because Yamagishi was like coming to terms with his own like cowardliness and stuff, you know, and he got a push from Hitaha to like go after like the teacher as well, Tamita. So like that was nice, but the whole Nina thing where she just like punches like we said in the end, like that feels good, but it also doesn't feel like she really figured anything out besides like to just punch this guy. And yeah, like I said before, like Momoko's story was like, and Nina's story were so wrapped up in like Izumi and Kazusa's story finishing that they didn't get a chance to like really talk to each other and hash things out before the show was basically ending. But I loved Rika and Shun so much. They reminded me of some of the couples from like Suriduri Children, who were just like so adorable that you like just squee whenever they're on screen.
Suriduri Children is so fucking
really good. And like, so yeah, like some of the like interactions between these two reminded me of that, and it's one of my favorite things. So I ended up giving this an 8. That might be a little bit generous, but I think it was well written. It just may not have been like extremely realistic all the time, but I was like, it got me. Like it fit, as you would say.
All right, let's move on to Demon Slayer. My mid-season score was an 8. My final score,
Wow, so
still an 8.
consistent.
Yeah, it's a very good and just like one of the most solid shonen I've ever seen. It can be just absolutely beautiful at times with the animation and whatnot. Unfortunately, sometimes the story would lag for me, and it'd be for like 2 or 3 episodes. But thankfully, it always ramped right back up again with like some really good action, some really good story, and I was really into it. So yeah, I'm just still sitting at the 8
That's
there.
that like thing that like My Hero Academia is doing, where it is taking its time and it is not like doing a shit ton of filler or anything. Like it is just like having a couple of maybe down episodes in between big arcs, and those arcs have like delivered, in my opinion. So it never feels too boring for too long, basically. Like the most entertaining thing to me about this show is that it just goes the extra mile, like with the animation, with Yuki Kajira's soundtrack, which is so good. Like I know Carole Tuesday has an amazing soundtrack just because like there's so many incredible songs, but I would almost argue that like Demon Slayer's soundtrack is just more fitting. It fits the show well, like it's used so well.
It fits the scenes where
like,
it's being used, yes.
I love the songs
Totally
in Carole
agree.
Tuesday, but they sometimes feel like, oh, they're just interjected into the show because they have to fit here somewhere. You know, it's not like they don't emerge naturally.
Oh, like the
Oh, that's
dancing
my
laundry
favorite song,
one?
damn you. That one did fit. It made sense. But yeah, no.
Because they were in a fucking laundromat?
Like I would
Give me a
almost.
break.
I have to listen to the soundtrack more, and it's like coming out in some like weird CD sets that haven't all come out yet. There's like 10 CDs that are scheduled to come out. It's ridiculous. And I'll have to listen to it, but like I would almost put it up there with like Madoka Magica's soundtrack at this point. I think it's that good. It's really, really strong. Which was also by Yuki Kajira. But yeah, the 3D animation from Ufotable was so good. Sorry, UFO Table. I think we decided to say it at some point.
Yeah, UFO table.
My only reservations were like the way they handled Nezuko at times, which Kat has talked a lot about like earlier, and the way they sort of handled Kanao in that late episode of the show. And also just that Zenitsu and Inosuke are sometimes annoying, but like I think the best thing I could say about this is that I found myself liking Inosuke and Zenitsu by the end of this, and kind of wanting to see what happens with them, which I did not think was going to happen.
So, yeah, between your mid-season score and your final score, there's a difference. What was
my
made that
mid-season
difference?
score was a 7. I'm giving it an 8.5 out of 10 now, and the difference was that they had that great spider arc in the forest, which was just really good storytelling, and they also got into the backstory of Zenitsu and made me like him more as a character, I think that's fair. And I think they got into Tanjiro's like philosophy more, and I just feel like everybody feels deeper as a character now than they did halfway through. And I'm more invested in all of the characters now. And even Nezuko's relationship with Tanjiro, I was really happy with the way that she was utilized in episode 19. And like that she like fought on her own. She has her own blood demon arc. She talked. And she's obviously going to be part of like things going forward in a way that she's a person who's going to affect things. She's not just going to be there as a backpack. So yeah. Good.
Right.
It's a good show.
Yeah.
Cat.
Well, okay, so I was going to give it an 8. And then, because the show did get better and less obsessively focused on action and more on some plot, which was nice for me. That's what I really like to see in an anime. More than the action. Like, I like action, but it has to be other things.
Right.
Otherwise I get bored. And then I had it at an 8, and then I thought about, for me, when a show has an audience poll and like a fan base and it really stands out with the audience, that's important to me. I feel like this show has made a huge name for itself. Because, you know, the shows that do that and that actually stand out, especially in this market where there are so many damn anime, like those shows will still be the ones that we talk about like 10 years from now, and there'll still be jokes in the community about it or whatever, about like Nezuko or whatever. So that becomes a part of our culture as a community, whether you like it or not. And so for me, that means it should get a little bump. So I went ahead and did it to an 8.5. I do really like where it's going. I think it's going to continue to be really good. I just really want them to stop with the incesty stuff. Like, I just want...
I'm surprised you gave it a higher score than me because you were so much more just judging about it.
Yeah, it got...
And I felt like I was defending it more times
Kat
than
is
not
such a
against
shonen
you.
person, you know,
better.
like she's going to be really, yeah. But she's also going to be so like judging about shonen because she's seen so much of it, like so she knows what the best stuff is like, and so she's going to be critical when she sees that it's like not living up to that in some ways.
Yeah, because like for me, a shonen it should have action, but it should also have drama and like plot development, like character development and stuff like that in it, or it's not a good shonen. Like it should have a balance of both. And for me, it got better this season than it was last season. I thought last season it was a lot of UFO Table trying to show off its animation abilities, which I understand. Like they have this amazing skill and they're like, look what you can do. Like, ooh, sparkly.
Yeah.
I get that.
Especially with the movie upcoming too.
Yeah. And it will be also interesting to see. I think they're settling in like, okay, we don't have to show off so much all the time with this show. I think they're settling in a little bit more. Especially since they know they're in it for the long haul now, because they have these seasons confirmed and this movie confirmed. Like this isn't, because it's actually pretty rare. I don't think UFO Table has ever done a long-standing show like this where they keep having to
they've done a
go
bunch
back
of
to
Fate,
it.
but like that's in different arcs and stuff. So like, yeah, this is a long-running one, so it'll be interesting. I really hope they stick with this for the long haul.
So this is kind of new territory. Yeah. So I mean, I don't see how they could possibly ask another studio to pick this up. Like it would be such a huge change of animation. So I think they have to stick with it, and like so that's new territory for them. So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, it's
as well.
exciting.
But yeah, I'm actually very optimistic about it now. So.
Yeah, I think Tanjiro is like one of my favorite shonen characters in a while. Like might be my favorite shonen lead since like Gone Freaks from Hunter x Hunter. Like honestly.
See, I don't think he has enough flaws to be a good shonen character in some ways.
Well, it's also because you're comparing him to Zenitsu, who you fucking hate. So he looks amazing in the first place.
Yeah, I think he could use a little bit more flaws.
That's true.
Because a good shonen character to me has some weaknesses.
That's fair. Yeah.
And in that way, he's not.
Well, the flaw is
there's
he
a lot
loves
of
his
really
sister
good things about the show.
incest.
But you see, he can't have like a dramatic like transformation arc about that. Like he can't have like a long like speech like in Naruto where he talks about like I've overcome this and now I'm stronger. Like they're not gonna.
Let's not bring up Naruto. Let's move on to our next show, Astra Lost in Space.
Okay.
Bcom Go.
Astra Lost in Space is a fun, like fucking roller coaster ride of a show that is just.
You were really harsh on this show.
I was,
Bcom.
because like
I don't know.
we talked about like in the last few episodes, like the writing is hilarious, but it also like doesn't make a lot of sense and is really dumb. And so that's why. And okay, and I think the other reason I'm kind of harsh on the show, I'm giving this a 5 out of 10. By the way, I'm basically saying this is an average show, is because like I didn't really get attached to any of the characters so much. I just didn't really like any of them very much. Like I didn't really like Ares. Kanata is just like, you know, freaking super jock, which isn't always a terrible thing, but he just seems so simplistic. And I didn't super enjoy the twist with Charse. Like I don't know. I like a lot of the stuff that happened in the second half of the series just felt like, oh, this is a wild, crazy ride. And like even going back, like I rewatched a couple of the early episodes after like the whole twist came about, just to see like if there was some like foreshadowing, and like there was some foreshadowed stuff, but like it all still kind of felt like it was pulled out of your ass like at the end there, and like the whole thing with like everybody like just moving to a new planet and then
pulled out of the
pulling the wormhole out of your
ass.
fucking ass and like going to a new planet with no religions and no weapons and no countries, and like I guess they just listened to the John Lennon song like Imagine All the People and like fucking like just made that.
Maybe that's what they use to hypnotize everyone. They're just like, listen to this song.
Except he hadn't written that song. He hadn't written that song yet in 1963, so it can't have been him.
No, I love this idea though. If you agree to our terms, we'll let you out of the box where they play the John Lennon song constantly. And then after like 2 years, everyone's like, "Oh God, please, we promise we'll never mention it."
So like, the show kind of felt like dumb, like popcorn sci-fi. And that's not the kind of sci-fi I super enjoy, but I still had a fun time watching it. But so like critically though, I feel like it's a 5 out of 10 for me. Even if I enjoyed it a bit more than that, I guess it's a weird schism there, but that's what I would say.
So I do agree that it's kind of popcorn sci-fi in a way. But the show surprised me a lot because I didn't expect it to be as good as it was. And I don't think that
that goes for everybody.
Yeah, I think like if you looked at the charts, because I follow a lot of charts where they like analyze who is watching it and how much each show is being watched. Like there was this huge pickup in like episodes 4 and 5, which is not terribly usual, you know? Like just a huge amount of people picking up this show and like really being like, oh, look at this thing. We didn't know about this. Oh, look. So that's really unusual. And I thought it was going to be super mediocre, and it really wasn't. There were things about it that are bullshitty and plot hole heavy. There were times where they're like, oh, we have this convenient excuse for this thing, and really it doesn't make sense. But it's not enough for me to discount it as a whole, and I think it deserves at least a 7, just from the surprise, like just from the twist that they did and the surprises they pulled off and everything.
What was your score again?
7 out of 10.
7? Okay. Mine is a 6 out of 10. I really liked the mystery behind why they're all trying to be killed and what's up with the planet they are from, which kind of develops later on. I felt like the show could have ended very badly with a crazy amount of plot holes. There were plot holes, but I feel like they barely steered clear. As I could say, they maybe trudged the edge of that event horizon for a black hole, would be my throw out on this. Man, if you got nothing to do in the evening and nothing to really watch, this would be a good one to really just kind of throw on.
I agree
and,
with you. Like, I felt like this series was going to end with way more plot holes than it did. Like, the way it was dropping exposition like crazy.
This could have ended in such a bad disaster that I would have hated you for forcing me to like pick
this ending made a lot more sense than the ending of Darling in the Franxx. I'm sorry, Kat. To me, anyway. Like, I enjoyed this ending more. But, yeah, it's fucking crazy.
Okay. All right. Our next show, Dr. Stone. This is the mid-season score. I currently have it at 6.5. What I have to say about it is very short and sweet. It has been very up and down for me at times. At one moment, I can be deeply engaged. And then the next episode, I'm just fucking waiting for it at the end because I'm bored with it, which is actually the latest episode we watched because, like I said, we knew they weren't going to die. They're our main characters. So there were like no stakes involved. So I'm just like, in the episode, go ahead. Let me see what cool new thing they invent next.
Yeah, I found the show like pretty entertaining, and it's like in a different way from Demon Slayer because it's such a different show, but it still scratches like that shonen itch that you get sometimes. You want to see a good shonen. It succeeds slightly more than Dumbbell, I think, at finding a balance between like being entertaining but also having like a compelling like narrative that's going on. Like we said with Dumbbell, it has like no narrative and it's like an edutainment show because it's like educating you, and Dr. Stone is kind of educating you, but it's so well integrated into the narrative that it still feels natural and like a story is progressing. But like it's not on the level of Demon Slayer for me, which I just think is just like so polished as just like a work of art, like the animation, the soundtrack and everything. Not that Dr. Stone is like crap or anything. Like it looks good. I don't know about the soundtrack. It's like whatever. But yeah, like I'm curious to see like the inevitable showdown between like Tsukasa's empire and the Kingdom of Science. So I would probably be interested in continuing with the show. I gave it a 7 out of 10 for now, which is pretty solid, basically.
Yeah, I still want to follow this show, but I am a little disappointed in it. Like, it had a lot of hype around it. I'd say as much as Demon Slayer did at the beginning. they paid a lot to advertise this show. They clearly thought this show was going to be a big deal. But it didn't deliver on that the way that Demon Slayer did. I'm not sure. I think they just didn't. It just fell flat, kind of. Like, I still like it. It's not a dead show. It's enjoyable. It's just not. It doesn't have that punch that Demon Slayer or a better show has.
I think we're all waiting for like the Tsukasa stuff to come back around. You know, it feels like we're in like a waiting period until that happens. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So a 6.5 is what I gave it for now. We'll see.
All right, this one's going to be fun. Kat, tell us about Given.
So these two assholes have like decided to slander the show because they're sons of fucking bitches. Fuck
Why
them.
am I getting wrapped up in this?
Can go burn in hell. The end did suck. I'll acknowledge that. It's just the same as all the other shows like this where they're like, oh, well, read the manga, and that's bullshit. The pacing, I guess there is going to be a movie. I don't think they're going to really summarize anything in the movie. I think it's just going to be more manga bait.
I hadn't heard there's a movie.
The pacing could have been better.
That's cool.
Yeah, there's a movie coming. The pacing could have been better. They were super slow.
Given movie 2020. Nice.
It had good, but it had good themes, and like there was a lot of firsts in this anime that I haven't seen in a yaoi, and there's not very many yaois. Like they were very open about the relationship from the beginning. There was none of the bullshit in a lot of old school yaois where there was this period of, but he's a man. Men can't be with men. What? Like, it was very matter of fact. These people had a relationship. This happened. And that's new to yaoi. I think as modern times evolve, that's happening more. And it's interesting to see the evolution of the genre as someone who watched a lot of the old school stuff. So it's a good thing. So I gave it a 7 out of 10 because these guys slandered the fuck out of it. It probably really deserves like a 6, but that Leo is being a shithead, so.
I gave it a 2 out of 10. Okay, I know this show was well liked for lots of people, but how can I possibly personally give it a good score if I can barely remember anything about it and just being flat out bored out of my mind the entire fucking time? It's clear I found nothing interesting about this and definitely found nothing engaging in the least. To me, this is like, I'm at work, you know, I like my gossip, that's cool, but somebody walks up to me and they're like, whatever their fucking two names are, did you hear about so-and-so? They may be interested in each other. And I'd be like, I actually really don't care. Go talk to somebody else. It's like how this show is flat out to me. Just like, I do not want to even be a part of this. You just keep that shit to yourselves, and however they work out, whatever.
If you didn't care, then you would have given it like a 5 out of 10 or something. This is like outright slander.
No, a 5 means it's has some type of enjoyment.
Okay,
this is
a 2
flat
or
out,
a 1 to me means you actively hate something. You don't give someone a 2 or a 1.
No. The 1 for me is something I literally hate. Like if the show had like promoted like pedophilia, or like incest, that's a 1. The show did not do that. The show
I would respect you better if you admitted
ungodly
if you
interesting.
admitted you hated it, Leo. If you just admitted you're despising of it, I wish I could hate it more.
But I can't remember enough to hate on it. So I'm just like, did you like that show? And I'm like, no. And they go, why? And I'm like,
I will say, like slowly paced romantic dramas are Leo's kryptonite. Like that is not Leo's type of show. Yeah.
They are. A slow-paced romance will destroy me.
Oh, that's right. We still have those fights about Suki Akira, don't we?
Oh, God. So, speaking of slowly paced, I thought this series started off too slow and wasted some time while Mafuyu couldn't, like, explain how he felt or was unwilling to talk at all. And, like, there was not a lot else going on in the early part of the show to, like, kind of fill that void of just, like, waiting for things to happen. And then once people's feelings got expressed, I was like, oh, this is more interesting. We were exploring the backstory of these characters. They're more fleshed out now. And now the show's over. It's like, oh, we finally found out about these characters and the show is ending now. And it ends with like a go read the manga ending for Akihiko and Haruki, which I liked them the most. So that was rough for me. And like that being said, like I liked the way it delivered on like its emotional scenes, like especially in episode 9 with the performance. I think they pulled that off really well. And like some of the like poetic ways that they talk to each other like reminded me of some of the better parts in like Bloom Into You, and I think they nailed aspects of that really strongly. So I think it was enough to bring it up to like an average score for me, which is what a 5 is. So 5 out of 10. Like I'm not slandering it. I'm thinking this is an average show, but like I think it could have been so much better if they had just like.
No, you're not slandering.
Yeah, I'm basically just saying like
props. You're
meh.
just putting it straight in the middle.
Yeah. Not even Matt. No, like Matt is like a 4. Average is like meh. Anyway. So, okay, Vinland Saga. Let's get a mid-season score for this. So Vinland Saga was a weird one for me because, like, I watched the first 3 episodes when they first came out, and I wasn't super hooked. And then I went back a few weeks later, and, well, actually it was, like, halfway through the season, really, because we decided to pick it up. And I watched them again, and I was like, there was, like, a lot of, like, nuance here that I missed the first time. I actually really like this now. And ever since the halfway mark with all the stuff like introducing Thorkel, learning about Askeladd's philosophy of life and like Thorkel's philosophy of life and like the friar and what he thinks, like all these philosophical discussions about like why everybody is motivated to do the things that they're doing and what they believe about like Ragnarok and how like afterlife is like coming and like they should fight to the death now for their honor. Otherwise, like, there's no point because they won't be taken into Valhalla. Like, that was all just, like, super interesting to me. And just the way that it's, like, somewhat historically accurate, at least, is really cool, too. Just, like, exploring that Viking Age history and, like, the post-Roman Britannia is really interesting. So, yeah, I've been having a great time with the show. I would give this an 8 out of 10 for now, also.
This show is really interesting. It's actiony as all shit, but it's got really good characters, and I like some of the philosophical things that they bring up. That it's really interesting, like the way they'll debate religion, because you never really think about Christianity being like pit against like a multi-god religion, and how people would have thought about that, and like really the different worldviews that espouses, or like different ways that people look at things. And yeah, it does a good job of being a lot of different things, which is a mark of a good anime for me. It's got a lot of depth. I'm excited for more. 8 out of 10.
Damn. Well, it's unanimous. Nice. We all are going to give it an 8 out of 10 because I just flat out enjoy watching the show. No matter what's happening, it's always grabbing my attention. I already talked about the mushroom stuff earlier, which is really cool. I found out that was actually really, really real. So like a lot of the stuff you see is like legit. This is what happened. So that's really cool. Yeah, I'm really happy and glad to
I think there's a
hopefully
very good
keep
chance,
watching the show, which I think we will. So yeah. I mean,
pretty
all
much.
3 of us give it an 8. I'm pretty sure it's a shoe
I
in.
was comment on one thing Kat said. Like, yeah, it's interesting because we come from such a like Christian dominant society to just get into that stuff where like, hey, these Vikings, like Christianity is just like some weird like hoax to them. It's like, so like their commentary on it is interesting. Yeah,
something
it's like
that
just
somebody
their
whispered
perspective
about
on it is so alien to us that it's interesting to see how they come at it. So I really appreciate that about the show. It's just getting like that weird lens to look at history through. It's nice. All right, Kat, what'd you think of Carole Tuesday?
Okay, so for me, Carole Tuesday was like, holy shit, amazing. I haven't seen a show master a type of anime as much as this show did in a while. Like, this is the first show where I am definitely going to buy the soundtrack. I never do that. Like, ever do I buy the soundtrack
Did you not get Megalobox?
No, I did not.
Oh,
Nice.
those are my wake up alarms.
It's a great soundtrack. Even if you don't buy the Carole Tuesday soundtrack, I think a lot of it is up on Spotify, so you can get it that way. Yeah.
Ooh, nice.
But like, yeah, and all of those songs are actually in English. They're all, I don't know, like I just really like all the songs. No, there's not a lot of the songs on here that I'm like, that was mediocre, or that was dumb. Like, a lot of them are actually really well thought out and really well done. A lot of the characters are very deep. There's not a lot of one-dimensional people in this anime at all, even the very side characters. There's just a lot to this anime, too. There's not a lot of animes that have politics in them. This was almost a very, like, current commentary on politics anime.
Yeah, one of the most current and mainly, I would say, put together.
Yeah, yeah. It was very mature in the way it made commentary. It wasn't like hitting you over the head with like, this is the way it should be, or like, these are our opinions. It just was a very mature, like, thinking about things that are currently happening without being like, this is the right way or this is the wrong way. It's just really, really fucking good. I gave it a 9.5.
Damn. Big score.
Ooh, what was your mid-season was what?
9.
A 9? So what was the difference? What improved it over the second half?
I think it's just that the songs, for the most part, there were a couple at the very end that were like, bleh. But the songs for the most part in the second half continued to be really, really good. If not better, like some of the songs in the second half I liked better than some of the songs in the first half. And the politics continued to be really good. And so for me, I was surprised that it didn't go downhill. Because a lot of animes, you'll start out strong, and then you'll be like, oh, and now it couldn't maintain that momentum.
Yeah, so to answer my own question, yeah. At mid-season, I gave it a 9, but my final score is 9.5. That was me just being precautious.
Really. Yeah, I'm that way a lot, too. Like, a lot of my mid-season scores are a bit cautious. Yeah.
I didn't see where I was going to go. Yeah. Everything about this anime was just fucking fantastic. You just need to go watch it. I said it during the review earlier. The story is amazing. I found it really moving. The soundtrack is also a must-buy for me. I will definitely be getting it. Even if I probably can't afford it, who knows? My only thing I could say that could possibly be improvement is maybe better graphics.
They had some pretty good animation, but I tend to agree with you. I think it could have looked a little bit nicer. Yeah.
Every once in a while, I was like, but I'm just, in the end, I'm sad it's over. I want to watch more.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's so good. What about you, Bcom?
Yeah, like, speaking of, like, the art, like, it was like a running gag for me. Like, every time Gus is drawn in the series, I swear his gut looks like a different size. Like, it was so funny. Like, when he's in the background of the scene, he looks like so different sometimes.
I can see the animators being like, I can do boobs, but I can't do guts. Shit.
I'm really shocked that yours is the lowest score in all this. That's so weird.
Yeah, so throughout the season on, like, Mal, I had this listed as, like, a 10 out of 10. And I had my Angela avatar on Discord, like, for the entire run of the show, basically. Mm-hmm. I really like this show a lot. Like, it's one of my favorites of the year. And so I have some, like, reservations about it, though. And it's like some of the stuff you guys have already managed to, like, talk about. Like, I like that it got into, like, modern politics and, like, a discussion of that. But I also just feel like it was such, like, a surface level discussion in some ways. And, like, it had such a kind of, like, naive and clean end that it felt like it just didn't match with, like, the actual problems we have in the world today in a way that I wanted it to. But it's just, like, it's not that kind of show. Like, really what Shinichiro Watanabe was making here was a show where he could showcase a whole bunch of different great musicians at once. And with these, like, two main girls at the head of that. And by the way, the artist who sang for Carole and Tuesday did such an amazing job. Like, fucking kudos to them. Like, holy shit. I hope they go on to have good careers.
Holy shit.
I mean, like, yeah, everybody. I mean, honestly, everybody who was in here. Like, Denzel Curry was amazing in that final arc. Like
who did Skips? That's
Thundercat. Yeah.
He's actually really good too.
He's awesome too. There's a whole bunch of people I'll be like following because of this show, for sure. And like that part of it just like delivered really well for me. And so like the musically, like I can always trust a Watanabe show to just have an incredible soundtrack, whether it's because Yoko Kanno is the composer or because he's just brought together a bunch of talented artists. It's always going to be great. And so I'll always look forward to his shows just because of that. I just wish the show had been a little bit more balanced with the way that it explored like politics as like a metaphor for like what we're going through right now, because it's clearly like like the metaphors are ripped from the headlines. There's like an ICE analog and like immigration concerns and like global warming concerns and all this stuff. It's like it feels like very current, but it also feels like they didn't really explore it in a serious way. They kind of just like threw it in there as commentary sometimes. And then also the way that they talked about music, songwriters' music being like better than other types of music. I don't know if they ever really made that argument like hold up for me in a way that like I was like, okay, I see what you've convinced me, or like you made me like really come around. Like I already liked songwriter music a lot, but like I just don't think they made like an amazing argument. Like some of the songs that are sung by Angela are just as good as the songs sung by Carole Tuesday that were designed by an AI. Though I think her best performance is the one that she wrote herself. So I don't know. Maybe that's saying something. At the end of the day, I could ramble on for a long time. I'm giving it a 9 out of 10, which is a very, very solid score for me. So yeah,
that's awesome. And
would you not like there to be like a side movie where Carole and her new boyfriend like become a thing or something?
That would be fun. Yeah, I would really enjoy that. Yeah, that'd be really cool. I hope that this doesn't have to be the end of their story. Like, they could totally make more, but we'll see. I don't know. Watanabe is usually not one who's just going to make sequels, though. That's the thing. But a movie would be cool. Yeah.
So, rounding everything out at the end here, we always do, what was our favorite show of the season according to scoring? And unanimously, all three of us, for the first time, picked Carole Tuesday.
And that's surprising because like it was a strong season. Like Vinland Saga is real good.
It was a strong season.
Yeah. It was strong, but Carole Tuesday were like just clearly the kings and queens of it. Like, just like, fucking stomped on everything else.
I think Maidens had a chance to like disrupt that at one point. But we talked about why it's like not incredible show. It's just a good show. Yeah.
Right.
So yeah. But really solid season for like with the shows we ended up with once we got rid of Demon Girl and Bem. Good for us for making the tough decisions.
Oh my god.
And yeah, now it's time to go get ready for fall.
It was time already.
Yeah, it's been time to get ready for fall.
All right.
I think we still got a week, right?
Sure, yeah.
Is there anything else you guys would like to add before I do the outro?
Yeah, I think
no.
good.
That was fun.
Okay. We thank you for listening. Remember to follow, and subscribe.
Leo is so ready. Did you hear that in his voice, y'all?
So ready to go to bed right now. Thank you. And subscribe to us on YouTube to get updates on new podcasts or videos. You can also find our podcast on iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, and Stitcher. And follow us on Twitter at Nerdom and Other for updates as well. Also, definitely come hang out with us on our Discord because it's awesome. The link is in the description.
There are pictures of my new kitten.
There are.
She just put she has her dumpster cat, but now she has her parking lot cat. So that's her new one. So everybody come hang out with us, and we will see you next time.
Bye.